you doing, all you beautiful sons of bitches? It's your boy Bax here, and today we are back at Anthony's brand of cringe, where we are going to be asking the super serious question on what if Spider-Man and Batman swapped villains? Now, what do you guys think is going to be, like, the end result of this, personally? Like, what if Batman and Spider-Man legit swapped villains?
Oh, you want to go first, John?
Sure. I feel like it would be the same as when, Superman got into Batman's costume in the Bruce Timm verse, where he just kicks Bane's ass. Like, Spider-Man's gonna kick most of his villains' asses. Like,
Yeah.
Batman is a normal human, so.
Yeah. Kino, what about you? What do you think?
Yeah, so hi everyone, I'm KinoFlex. You can find me over at my channel, KinoFlex. I just put out a pretty cool analysis of Kanye West's video, or a play song.
What video is that? Say the name.
I dare, Anthony, if you're watching this, I dare you to analyze that song on your live stream. I triple dog dare you.
Well,
Anyway.
This mustache man, I don't know about him.
Yeah. Well, the title of my video is "What did Kanye mean by his latest song?" and I'll just call it HH for short.
Yeah.
But back to the topic at hand. What would happen if Spider-Man and Batman swapped enemies? It's not a bad question, I suppose, but it seems like it has an obvious answer. Spider-Man would probably beat most of Batman's villains with ease, because in terms of raw strength, he'd have them all beat, but he'd have to compete with them in terms of intellect. But even then, he'd probably win out in the end. Maybe Riddler could rival his intellect, but I don't know.
I'm thinking of Joker trying to be unpredictable, and he just has spider sense, so he's just like, "You're about to do something terrible." He's like, you ruined the surprise."
Yeah, but it's like Green Goblin is sort of like shares a lot of traits with Joker already, so I don't know how unpredictable.
Green Goblin is basically a mix of Lex Luthor and the Joker anyway, so.
Yeah. I thought that's actually a good way of putting his character. It's both of them molded into one. What would happen if they were merged? Yeah, that's a good way of putting it here. But
funny you brought that up, Kino, because there's a legit, like, a Batman Elseworld story where, like, what if Bruce Wayne was baby Kal-El from Krypton? Like, what if he got adopted by the Waynes? And Lex Luthor turns into the Joker in that story.
Seems a bit random, but
look it up. It's called Batman Speeding Bullets. Anyway.
Yeah, but in terms of Batman with Spider-Man's villains, that's where you'll probably have to make some arguments in favor of how he would win out. Obviously, if we were talking about modern DC or modern comic writers, they'd throw in some sort of ass pull, like, because Bat-God is a pretty established trope where he's always, even if he's underpowered against an opponent, with the power of prep time, he has them all beat.
But he's always one step ahead.
Yeah, but assuming that we're not going into this with Ballyrin's story, we're trying to justify how Batman, with the Batcave, with all of his skills, like pre-existing skill set, just like in his regular universe, would fare against Spider-Man's super-powered villains. And a lot of people would say that they would beat him, but I don't know. I feel as though he'd have a decent chance.
Yeah,
because
Batman may have a lot of non-powered individuals, but let's remember he does have some superpower characters in there, like Clayface, Poison Ivy, Man-Bat, Bane is even kind of superpower when you think about it. So
yeah. So some people will probably say, "Oh, he won't have any problems with Vulture, Hammerhead, or Shocker. Like, he won't have any issues with them." But then debates would occur over opponents like Sandman, Venom, Carnage, the Lizard. But you could make arguments that he's used to fighting those opponents with Killer, like
Killer
or similar
Croc,
opponents with
too,
Clayface and Killer Croc. Yeah,
It
So,
would be
But,
funny
I would-
him with Catwoman. Be like, you
Yeah, I would-
remind me of someone I know. Ah.
yeah, but I would guess some of his, like Batman would struggle against some of his more obscure or just way overpowered villains, like the Answer. Like he's a pretty obscure villain, but his
Alan Iverson?
power is, huh?
Allen Iverson's nickname in the NBA was the Answer, so I joked Allen
Oh,
Iverson.
Yeah, I think this character predated him because I think he was introduced in the 80s. But his power is essentially he can get any random power depending on the situation he's in.
Ah.
Yeah, so that's a very that's just a very powerful
So
tool to have at
yeah,
your disposal.
Aaron
he's like Miles
Nicholson,
Morales these
yeah,
days then.
pretty
Yeah,
much.
I could even see him. I could honestly see him struggling against the Spot somewhat if he gets a drop on him.
Ooh.
But I would say, yeah, in terms of Green Goblin, like as we just discussed, he's Lex Luthor and Joker rolled into one. So, and depending on which version of Green Goblin, he would have superpowers. So yeah, I definitely see Batman struggling against him, but a lot of the others, I think people underestimate Batman. But yeah, let's see what Anthony's arguments are.
And this
are for
is also Ant's most popular video, so I'm expecting Ant to bring out all the big guns on this. So yeah,
How many
John.
times will he run his hand through his hair?
Yes, John, play away.
Batman, the world's greatest detective. Spider-Man, the friendly neighborhood wall crawler. Among the annals of superhero history, two have always stood apart. Batman and Spider-Man are among the most frequently adapted superheroes of all time. And most importantly to this video, have a great set of villains, some of the most dynamic and interesting characters in comic history.
Wait, pause real quick. Now, whose rogues gallery would you say is better written? Batman's rogues gallery or Spider-Man's rogues gallery?
I'm putting my money on Batman's. I'd say Batman has the better villain group between the two.
Yeah, I'd agree for the same reason that a lot of Batman writing tends to be good is that you sort of limit yourself when you don't have the powers and everything as much, so it becomes more kind of character driven
Yeah.
and intellect driven. So
Yeah,
I think it's more well-rounded.
Batman's villains are a lot more on the psychological side too. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree with you guys. In Batman stories, they tend to delve into their psychology a lot, their motivations, why they do what they do. While in a lot of Spider-Man stories, they're kind of just costume goons for the most part.
Yeah. Costume goons, scientists, or just really fucking evil people. Yeah.
Yeah, not saying that there aren't stories that delve into their psychology and motivations. Like Scorpion, they delved into his character a lot, especially during Dark Reign and Thunderbolts when he was Venom.
Yeah, when he was Venom, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, for the most part, there's costume goons. They don't really have too much depth to them. But yeah.
Anyway.
My first
Yeah, I agree.
exposure during the for the Spider-Man villains was the PlayStation 1 game, and so I just thought, wow, it's really repetitive having Scorpion, who's a crazy guy stuck in a suit, kind of bent on revenge, and then they have Rhino, who's like a crazy guy stuck in his suit, bent on revenge.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah, Rhino's just too dumb to see what the problem is with being stuck in a suit.
Yeah.
yeah, he like enjoys it. All right.
But what would happen if they switched places? What would happen if Batman crossed paths with Carnage? Would Spider-Man fare well against Bane?
Time to give them the truth.
So look, I wasn't gonna make this video. I was planning on talking about
And then I was.
my adventures of Superman instead, but then I made this tweet on Twitter and it blew up. And this just told me, yeah, people want to talk about this. People really are interested in what would happen if Batman fought Spider-Man's villains and if Spider-Man fought Batman's villains. Seriously, I had friends who don't even follow my Twitter or my YouTube accounts and antics reaching out to tell me why
That means
I
they're
was
not really your
dead wrong.
friends.
You're a fraud, Spider.
They're like, dude, your Twitter opinion is wrong.
Dude, your whole fucking feed is cringe.
Why are you talking about Spider-Man being gay all the time?
And why are you talking about how Ranma one half will make you bi and trans? Come on, Ant.
Or why I was so right.
That's some neat trick.
Nobody's ever thought you're right.
That
No.
sense of yours.
Depending on the friend.
Oh, you're really
Hey, they look similar.
smart as I thought you were.
This topic is interesting to a lot of people, so why not discuss it?
Is
Why not
it-
explain my viewpoint here? Why do I
don't-
think that
Why are you talking about
Spider-Man
talking
would have
about
an
it? Just
easier
talk
time
about it.
with Batman's villains than Batman would have with Spider-Man?
They have trouble adapting to their new environment.
Let's get this out of the way first.
Hold
We're
on,
talking
John,
about two
John.
coloss-
hold on. Right there is another really good point we need to consider. What fucking continuities are we talking about here? Because he just showed like two different Riddlers on screen. It's like, are we going with Jim Carrey's Riddler or what's his face from the Batman from the Matt Reeves film? It's like what continuities we're talking about? The main one, or are we just going with like this broader zeitgeist view of them, where it's like, you know, like just how people normally view them, right? What are we
The
talking-
Allstate commercial Batman villains.
Yeah.
Or it's like they're
Unironically,
distilled
the best
normal.
adaptations of those characters.
At least looks wise, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, like you bring up a good point, Backseater. Before we just started the video, I assumed we were going to be talking about the mainstream comic continuity. I didn't even consider that we would be talking about the movie continuity, because if that's the case, then yeah, again, I would say actually maybe movie Batman would struggle more with the movie villains.
Yeah.
Or movie Spider-Man villains.
Yeah,
Green
like,
Goblin, he'd be like attacking his heart and shit.
dude, like Spectacular Spider-Man's Green Goblin was really fucking bad. Yeah. Anyway, moving on.
Utterly different types of characters here. Batman has always been a tribute to the noir detectives of yesteryear. The Shadow or Dick Tracy crossed with Zorro in light gothic horror. His
well,
adversaries
hold
are
on.
intellectual.
I would
That's a
say
lot.
I'd say that's true if we're talking about just Batman's origins, but nowadays I would say Batman has evolved beyond his influences into his own thing. So he's not wrong. I just have a problem with his choice of words, is what I'm saying. Anyway.
Yeah, he does bring up an interesting point that we didn't consider, which is the detective aspect, because before we were discussing how if Spider-Man were to struggle, it would be more so through intelligence. It would be intellectual battles that he would be fighting, like uncovering their plots before the villains' plots before they happen. Like how good of a detective do you think Peter is compared to Bruce?
I wouldn't say he is. No, not at all. Peter Parker may be a science nerd, but that doesn't mean he can solve a crime scene. No.
I feel like he usually employs somebody else's help for like
Like the
investigating.
NYPD?
stuff.
Yeah, characters like George Stacy, Jean DeWolf, etc. Or even
Yeah,
his
or even like
or even his
hero.
fellow superheroes like Daredevil or the Fantastic Four. Yeah.
yeah, that was the first one that came to mind for me. I was like, yeah, I feel like he teams up with Daredevil a lot whenever they're like investigating something shady or something. Or he
Yeah.
needs to figure something out.
Yeah, but I also feel like that's kind of cheating, because I feel like the premise is specifically Spider-Man and Batman.
Oh no, I'm not saying we should count that like as a point.
Oh, yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
Spider-Man could use in this. I just mean like it's actually a point like against Spider-Man, and then like whenever he needs to do deep detective thinking, he usually gets someone else. So on his own, he might not be very good.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Threats, broken and crazed figures with obsessions and idiosyncrasies. They may lack powers, but they bring intelligence.
He just showed Poison Ivy. Poison Ivy would beat Spider-Man so easily if we're talking about young, horny teenager Spider-Man. He'd be like, oh, you're really good, lady, oh.
She's like,
My spider
oh,
sense is telling me no, but my heart's
why
telling me yes.
I shouldn't be getting boners in the middle of fights. What the hell?
Why do these vines feel so good? No.
On the other hand, Spider-Man is the everyman, and so his adversaries exist as dark reflections of this. Spider-Man's primary villains consists
I don't think
of
so.
I've never considered that.
I mean,
Like that aspect.
I don't think that's really true, though, personally, because, like, yeah, Spider-Man's an everyman, but I've never gotten the idea that his villains reflect that. So, like,
Yeah, I would say Batman's villains are better reflections of certain Batman qualities.
oh yeah, that's true. Yeah,
Even mental illnesses, like they're also like mental illnesses personified, like
Yeah.
bipolar disorders, schizophrenia, etc.
yeah.
Or just a counterpoint, like Joker's the chaos, he's the all that sort of stuff. That's
Yeah.
probably the most easy to find one, but
Yeah, if I had to say what Spider-Man's villains are a dark reflection of, it'd be his motto, with great power comes great responsibility. That's really it. So yeah.
They're luck who gain powers they use responsibly, geniuses who use their gifts for selfish intent, or the 1%, criminal kingpins or corporate big shots who happen to use their wealth.
Would Ra's al Ghul count as the
selfish
1%?
Yeah, I'd say
I mean, he's probably made
wealthy.
some investments with how old he is. He's like, my stock portfolio is looking great. I was here at every.
Isn't the Penguin 1%?
Oh yeah.
I feel like most of the criminal underworld in Gotham is the 1%.
Yeah, I'd say just about all of Batman's villains are rich to afford the fucking gear they need for their schemes. Let's be real here.
Well, I was gonna
The
say
Court of Owls.
Oh yeah.
Court of Owls is definitely 1%. Oh wait, that reminds me. Is this going to be New Earth or New 52, like Prime Earth continuity?
Yeah,
that's another thing to.
Oh my
count.
god. I bet you Ant hasn't thought this far ahead. No.
Well,
Yeah.
I was actually thinking of that whenever you guys were talking about Green Goblin and everything, because I was just like, oh, but the one difference with those villains is that we don't know how the fuck Joker affords all of his shit. We actually know how Lex Luthor and Green Goblin afford their stuff. Joker just always pulls out these blimps that are branded and stuff. He's like Peter Griffin, or he just suddenly pulls it out of his ass, this tank or something.
I assume he just steals it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just he's got a really good, like, either he's really good at graphic design or he's got someone that works for him. He's always very good with the branding.
Yeah.
I started this company. You know how much I sacrificed?
You're out, Norman.
Out am I?
Skeleton bomb.
The Green Goblin, I feel, is a intersection of all of these three ideas.
We all wear masks,
Nice chin.
Spider-Man. But which one is real?
It's the chin of sin.
It's like
Chin
the
Goblin.
ultimate Chad meme.
Yeah.
Chad Goblin versus Virgin Spider-Man. Probably more true than we'd be willing to admit. Does he got batarangs there as well? He's got Goblin batarangs.
He's got it all, folks.
Batman would be more evenly matched than we thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I would pay to see that. Just
He
Green
pulls out the
Goblin
batarangs.
and Batman trying to
It's like-
outcompete each other. with their
Just keep pulling out more gadgets. They're like, I already thought of that. Well, I already thought that you would think of that. Oh yeah, well I already thought.
Yeah.
The one that hides your face, or the one that is your face?
Regardless, because of how fundamentally different these heroes are, their adversaries are different. So what happens if we switch their places around? Now, for the sake of discussion,
Oh wait, pause it real
we
quick.
will take
Again, not to delve into like the broader world of each of Marvel and DC, but assuming that Bane is in Marvel, do you think he would use gamma radiation,
Ooh,
or do you
yeah.
or any, this goes for any other villains? If they had at their disposal like adamantium, vibranium, or any of the other resources, like should we take those into account? Like,
Ooh. I
yeah,
guarantee you.
assume that they would use
Hang
it?
on. I guarantee you, Ant hasn't thought this far ahead either. Hang on, John. Don't play ahead. I'm gonna go get my dinner real quick. I'm gonna pause it. Alright, folks, I am back, and I have come with the Panda Express! Alright, John, let's continue on.
Is that like a Chinese racial joke or something, or do you actually have Panda
I
Express?
legit have Panda Express.
Excellent. Chew loudly into the microphone. We'll make this an ASMR video.
Spider-Man and put him into Gotham, while taking Batman and dropping him in Marvel's New York City.
Okay,
Now,
pause.
For the sake of argument, we'll assume.
All right, so yeah, this is something I was thinking. Like, were the villains transported to the MCU, or the home universe of Batman, Spider-Man, or were Batman, Spider-Man transported to the opposite universes?
So,
So this clarifies some things.
Yeah. Now I just have to ask a whole new question. So like if Batman is in New York City, does that mean all of Wayne Enterprises went there with him? And if so, then what's in the DC universe in its place then?
Alfred, I don't have my satellites. It's a different universe.
Yeah.
Wait, I don't have Alfred. Oh no.
Yeah, like it's like
Yeah, he doesn't have the Batcave. It's not even sure. I'm not even sure if he even has the Batmobile.
It depends if he was driving it when he was teleported or not, I suppose.
Does that mean
He'd
like
have at max one of his vehicles.
does that mean like the Wayne Manor is exactly where Peter's house in Queens is? Because that would stick out like a sore thumb.
Oh my, Peter, the house looks lovely. Aunt May. Who's this old woman in my house? Are you gender swapped, Alfred? I'm going to dress you in a butler's uniform. Do as I want, woman.
It's like, yeah, and where does Pete, so, and what about their supporting cast? Are we transporting them there too, or are we leaving them where they are? So does this mean that Bruce Wayne is crushing on Mary Jane Watson now?
Well, he does like younger women, as we know from Batgirl.
Does that mean he's living with Aunt May until he gets back on his feet?
Oh, fuck.
Oh, God. He goes from Hooker to... That's a younger...
And I really
God.
hope you've thought all this through, because we're gonna ask you these questions. Anyway,
It's just going to take a sudden left turn and be like, and of course, whenever they switch universes, they will both turn gay. So now I'd like to get back to if Spider-Man was gay.
Yeah. Anyway.
Batman still has access to his greatest superpower.
What are your superpowers again?
Oh, fuck off with
I'm
this
rich.
scene.
However, neither Spider-Man or Batman will be able to call upon their family or friends for help. Nor will they be able to reach out to their universe's main superheroes for help. That means Spidey can't ask the Flash or Superman to give him a hand.
Speaking of that, are they all still taking their places? And does this mean Spider-Man is on the Justice League now? Like, I know he said that he can't call on them for help, but does this mean that he took Batman's place there too? Because I don't think that they would allow a fucking teenager on the Justice League. No.
So it's kind of like putting that city in a bubble at the moment that they're transported into it as well, then.
Well, again, it depends on like what time frame we're talking about, because they probably allow an adult Peter on the Justice League, because the Marvel universe is much more cynical with its heroes than DC is. The DC DC civilians are generally very accepting of their heroes, while the Marvel universe isn't.
Something that both companies forgot. Anyway.
And Batman can't call Hulk over to smash someone up. This means no Oracle. This means no Mr. Fantastic.
Not even Oracle. Like,
we're
really?
gonna focus exclusively.
I mean, she's a Batman character though, so it's like screw you,
No
Bar.
sidekick.
Screw you, Babs. Yeah.
On 616 Peter Parker. So no Miles Morales, no Gwen Stacy, no Miguel O'Hara.
Don't even get me started on Doctor
He doesn't consider Miles Morales a true Spider-Man. Let's go.
You
Yeah,
heard
wow,
it
what a
right here,
racist.
folks. And Miles, I'm sorry,
19
Ant is also a Miles hater. Fuck you, Miles.
Wow.
Anyway.
And the racist, the sexist, all the other Spider-Man is.
Yeah.
999.
And likewise, no Dick Grayson or
I'm taking you in.
Right.
Terry McGinnis.
just base Spidey,
Why didn't you say his name?
base Batman.
That's weird.
Just get those wonderful toys.
Now, for the first part of my argument, the one I think is the easiest to prove, Spidey would have a fairly easy time fighting the majority of Batman's rogues gallery, because most of them don't have any superpowers.
Shut up, you're going to jail.
Sure, Spidey has some incredible abilities, but Spider-Man's greatest strength isn't simply his superpowers. It's also his brains.
Harry tells me you're quite the science whiz. You know, I'm something of a scientist myself.
Peter may not be as great of a detective as Bruce is, but he is a far better scientist. Because of that, his scientific mind will give him an advantage against certain of Batman's enemies.
Come on, Peter Tingle.
That's not a science
While
scene.
Batman has incredible...
It's just him using his spider sense. That has nothing to do with him using science. He should have showed him making the web shooters or something.
Or making the
Yeah,
web
wasn't no way-
anything.
It's literally just a scene about I have to rediscover my spider sense that has nothing to do, well, other than the fact that he got his powers from science, I suppose. But like, it literally has nothing to do with me being smart. Yeah, this actually brings up an interesting point because like, and he might mention this, but most of Batman's villains aren't physically challenging him either.
Yeah.
Like there's a few, but a lot of them it wouldn't really matter to have greater physical strength because the challenge is like he could already beat them up one-on-one. Like fucking Riddler's not gonna fist fight Batman for too long, and even Joker or whatever. So it's usually about.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
being
the only
smart.
real quote-unquote smart Batman villain who could prove a physical, who could stand up in a physical fight is Scarecrow, because he's actually a trained martial artist. Fun fact.
Wasn't Bane smart like the first time?
Bane
He was
is
kind of setting him up to get worn down.
Bane is still really smart, yeah.
That's how he was in Arkham Origins, and I remember liking him way more than all the other video game versions where he's just a big stupid brute.
Yeah.
incredible stealth, Spidey has incredible awareness. Spider-Man's spider sense will make it very easy for him to avoid being snuck up upon. And while his wall-crawling ability isn't as fantastic as, say, Batman's stealth ability, in terms of sneaking around,
An odd
it will give him
comparison.
an advantage when trying to infiltrate criminal lairs, avoid detection, etc. Because who's going to look up for a guy crawling on the wall in Gotham?
This reminds me of the Spider-Man video game where, yeah, it's a lot easier to do stealth because you can obviously crawl on walls and everything. And then they came out with the Miles Morales one where you can literally turn invisible and it becomes really easy to do stealth.
Yeah, that doesn't break the game at all. No.
It was so stupid. I'm like, this guy has too many powers. That was whenever I first was exposed to Miles, and I was just like, this is stupid.
Poor bastard.
But yeah, no, Spider-Man, he'd be able to sneak around pretty easily, I feel like. But then again, Batman's always up on a gargoyle that's conveniently placed or something, so it's kind of the same problem they already deal with.
Yeah.
But most importantly is Spider-Man's trickster qualities.
No, Trickster's the Flash villain.
Is that a real knife? Yes, it's a real knife. My weakness, it's small knives.
Spider-Man is going to trash talk his enemies. And for some of Batman's rogues, that is going to drive them absolutely mental.
Well, shit. If that's enough to beat them, then Michael Jordan could beat their asses. He'd just be trash talking them.
Yeah.
And,
Well,
and then kick their
Batman.
ass.
Batman also trash talks his villains from time to time, and they can't handle it.
Yeah, he'll usually like analyze them and then play into whatever he knows is gonna piss them off the most. Like he doesn't make like quippy jokes as much, but he'll just be like, he'll be like not laugh at Joker to piss him off, or start laughing whenever he's doing, and Joker will be like, it's not funny. I think that's what scene he's showing actually.
I eat punks like these for breakfast.
That wasn't the one Arkham game I
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah.
I eat bugs like these for breakfast.
Uh-huh.
He's got no sense of humor. He wouldn't know a good joke if it bit him in the cape. Not that you ever had a good joke.
Shut up. Shut up!
For starters, Spidey's main threat in Gotham would not be the Joker.
Really?
The Joker is basically the Green Goblin
Well-
without any wealth or super strength. The Joker has a particular obsession with Batman, one that doesn't really transition to Spider-Man.
I don't want either of us to end up killing the other.
I mean,
But we're running out of
well, hold
alternatives.
on.
The Joker
he's
That
still
awful killing joke movie.
He's still like the most consistent villain in Gotham. So if Spidey is legit still on his like great power comes great responsibility, I have the power to stop this fucker. Surely he would still develop the arch enemy relationship there anyway, right?
Yeah, it wouldn't be the same
Yeah.
relationship. It would just be like him going at him from a different angle. Like I feel like he'd like try to crush Spider-Man's hope or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, he kind of overlooks that Joker fights heroes other than Batman
Oh, yeah.
occasionally.
He literally drove Superman to kill him. He pissed him off so much
Yeah.
in the Injustice game.
I think if Joker didn't have Batman as an adversary, he would be bummed out. Like he wouldn't find being a criminal or agent of chaos as thrilling, but he'd still be one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be like if I settled for Alexander Daddario instead of Sydney Sweeney. I'd be like, well, you know, she's my dream, but you're pretty good too, I guess.
Yeah. And even then,
Yeah.
it's like, yeah. Anyway, go on.
Oh wait, another thing to consider is, what if Joker's laughing gas, there's like an entire storyline in DC where he turned like several villains and heroes into Joker-fied versions of himself. So I don't know, maybe obviously he can't be a physical threat, but
I think that was.
You
I
could
don't
definitely-
remember that one was. Yeah.
it was a couple issues, a couple tie-ins, but yeah, I could definitely still see him as being a significant major threat, just not. But it just in terms of physical, like that's the only thing we're talking about. Yeah, he wouldn't have a chance against Spider-Man, but that's not solely what we're talking about.
Yeah.
No, it usually takes a while to get to the 1v1 like fist fight. Like that's usually once all of Joker's other plans have been dealt with, then he actually gets to him physically. Normally it's like exploding planes and a gazillion henchmen and evil gas and a trap that he laid out, you know, with the hostages and shit. Like he'd have a lot of Green Goblin, I'm gonna drop these two people kind of scenarios with Spider-Man where he'd play into the responsibility.
Let them
angle, I
go,
feel like.
Joker. Poor choice of words, Spider Brat.
Yeah, I feel like he would have fun with like once Spider-Man like made one speech to him about responsibility, he would absolutely play into that and just start like making a bunch of situations where he makes him like make moral decisions and everything constantly.
Joker would drop Gwen Stacy in a fucking heartbeat if he figured out Spider-Man. If she was Spider-Man's girlfriend, yeah.
He'd just be like, ooh, a cracking good joke there, Spider-Man.
Let's
After
just
the
hope we
neck
don't have a
snaps.
repeat of sins past here. Oh, man.
And Batman's personalities just mesh too well. They're the best kind of toxic for each other. But Joker does not like it when someone gets the last laugh. Take Terry McGinnis fighting Joker in Batman Beyond Return of the Joker. Joker did not take to being the punchline all that well.
Wrap it up now, miserable little punk. Ah! I can't hear you.
He does not enjoy someone who doesn't laugh at his
Spoiler.
jokes. Peter Parker would make the Joker miserable. And if Joker ever tried to go too far to hurt someone Peter loved, Peter's no-kill rule is far less strict than Batman's.
Yes, I agree with this because I actually saw a very good interview clip of a guy who was very who you could tell like understands Batman as a character, because it's not that like Batman's no kill rule isn't necessarily something that he can choose to have. It's something he has based off trauma, the trauma of losing his parents.
Yeah.
And so
That
he's like
is-
psychologically, he can't handle death.
That is what separates Batman's traditional no-kill rule from other characters, because other characters have a no-kill rule just simply out of, like, moral code, really. Batman legit does it because of, like, really personal reasons, yes.
So with Spider-Man though, how loose is he with it? Because what the example he was showing was the black suit, which I feel like is sort of a mulligan for him.
Yeah.
Where it's like, yeah, if Spider-Man had if Batman had the black symbiote on him, he might get negatively influenced to do some shit he wouldn't normally do.
And that brings up a good point. Are we also swapping their storylines now? So does that?
Ooh.
So who does Venom become in this case?
Well, it'd have to be at some specific point in their timeline that you would drop them. So is it like right before the symbiote drops, maybe?
Well, I was under the understanding that it's they'd be getting dropped like right around the time where all their villains are established. So it would still be Eddie Brock.
Maybe.
To send me home to die.
No. I just want to kill you myself.
Attaboy.
Now, the majority of Batman's adversaries are similar to the sorts of figures Peter fights back home. Penguin, Black Mask, even Two-Face. They're on par with Tombstone and Hammerhead in terms of threat level. None of their criminal enterprises are as sprawling as the Kingpins. Catwoman and Peter Parker would honestly probably get along just fine. I doubt Peter would even object to some of Selina's crimes. Killer Croc? Just a weaker, less feral lizard.
Dr. Kirk Connors, he was a...
I was saying off recording earlier, Backseat, when you left, if Peter ran into Selina Kyle and she starts flirting with him and, like, you know, trying to get him to do shit by manipulating him, he would be like, well, if I had a dime for every time that a feline-themed anti-hero tried to get under my skin and flirt with me like this, I'd have 2 of them. And it's weird that it happened twice.
She got them kitty titties, yeah.
That would be so awkward to run into a second cat-themed villainous trying to get under your skin like that the exact same way.
Yeah. Moon Knight doesn't have that problem. He has a cat-themed girlfriend with Tigra.
Yeah.
Scientist at Oscorp when I worked there. A brilliant scientist. Until he turned himself into a lizard. Then he tried to turn the whole city into lizards. It was crazy.
I threw a rock at him.
That scene.
Harvey, what became of the giant penny?
It was a big rock.
I think where things might...
That is a great scene.
Yeah.
Great episode, too.
Also, to go on what Ant said, I don't think Killer Croc and Lizard is weak. I don't think he's weaker than Lizard. I legit think Croc has the strength advantage there. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Does anybody else think...
He gets bodied by Bane.
I mean, yeah, of course, but, you know...
Anybody else think, like, the Lizard even being in that movie was a little weird and they didn't really do anything with him in the movie either?
Yeah.
That No Way Home? Like,
Lizard was a bad first choice, yeah.
Seemed like they could have cut him out entirely, shortened the movie, or focused more on the other characters and made it a better movie.
Yeah.
Get interesting is when you account for adversaries with either a very tactical brain or unusual scientific ingenuity. For example, Mr. Freeze. I firmly believe Spidey would be very sympathetic to Freeze and offer to assist him with raising Nora, what have you. I genuinely would love to see these two interact because I think
No, I don't think he would help him.
No. No, and do you remember what character you're talking about, right? The character whose fucking, like, motto he goes by is, with great power comes great responsibility. Freeze would be no different than the many scientists who abuse their tech that Spidey regularly faces. No, this is
like he says he'd be sympathetic. That's one thing, but then he says he would help him, like rob shit and everything. Like that's where it's like not at all. He'd be like, no, we have to find another way, and then Freeze would probably be like, oh, you're not really on my side, and then they'd fight.
Yeah.
Like he wouldn't be like, all right, we'll rob some Freeze tech. Let's do it.
Humanity and brilliance would benefit Freeze, and I think the two wouldn't actually be on edge against each other as much as you would think. Assuming we're talking about the standard version, really bizarre iteration, then Spidey would just total him. Others, like say Scarecrow and Poison Ivy, would be tougher. Scarecrow's fear toxin would probably put Peter's spider sense into hyperdrive. But given his experience with Mysterio, I think it's feasible that Peter might be able to avoid the toxin altogether, or that his mask might filter out the toxin. Now, Poison Ivy, in terms of sheer power, would be the most dangerous.
I feel like the mask thing would have to be like he runs into him once, and then he scientifically works out like, oh, here's how I filter out this gas, and then he would make, when he meets him the second time, maybe he'd be prepared. He wouldn't just automatically be like, aha, I filter out your fear toxin because I knew you'd have fear toxin.
Also, Ant just said, oh, his experiences with Mysterio. Okay, so we are just swapping them after they've already got met and fought their A-list villains, right? So why didn't you lay that out in the rules section, Ant? This is shit you want to get out of the way first.
Because I was too busy recapping the obvious facts that everybody already knows about the characters.
Oh my god.
And then, yeah, as we said before, I think Spider-Man gets absolutely bodied by Poison Ivy for no physical reason, just the fact that, especially if it's young Spider-Man, he would just be too fucking horny to fight her.
Yeah.
He'd be like, oh, cute redhead lady, pheromones, oh no.
Well, what's like an equivalent
So,
plant-based
Spider-Man,
villain Spidey has fought?
He's
He's
like
essentially
nature.
See, here's the thing about Spider-Man, though. Like, as a premier hero, like the face of Marvel, he's pretty much fought every villain. So, for a lot of these Batman's villains, he probably has another villain to reference. He could reference to and how to deal with them. So, like, I'm not the top of my head.
The only real plant-based street-level villain in Marvel is Samuel Smithers, aka Plant Man. Yeah.
Such an uninspired name.
I mean,
Like-
it's Stan Lee. He's a Stan Lee character, John. He's all about them alliterative names.
Well, I just feel like Poison Ivy is basically if you gave Black Cat, well, she's more villainous, obviously, but it's, you know how he already has trouble with Black Cat and dealing with her. It's like if you gave Black Cat superpowers, then he's like, oh man, now I'm being psychologically bothered because she's that weird flirtatious
What do
type.
you
And then
say?
she also
What do you
has
say we go
superpowers.
home and sow my oats together? I don't know.
Oh no.
Oh no.
She'd be like, the spider kills insects that eat plants. I like you.
Yep.
Again, Peter specializes in superpowered threats. So while Ivy might be a hassle,
Oh, the fucking Harley
I believe
Quinn show.
Peter will
Ugh.
win. I mean, in best case scenario, Peter just takes a torch to all the plants. Bane,
Wait, what?
that's-
A torch? That's not What?
What?
Spider-Man with a flamethrower is just a funny mental image now. I'm
Fuck
thinking of
is
the 60s.
wrong with you, Ant? Why are you having Spider-Man do all this out-of-character shit in this video?
After he's done helping Mr. Freeze rob a lab, he's gonna go get a flamethrower and kill Poison Ivy's plants. It makes me think of those 60s Spider-Man memes. You guys ever see those where, it's like, where there's one with a fire in the back? It's like, that'll teach those orphans.
Oh, fucking hell.
It's a weird way of seeing Spider-Man. It's like, I agree with him that Spider-Man would deal with these villains, but the way that he says that he'll deal with them is like, I vehemently disagree with every
Yes.
solution that he presents.
Yes. I haven't even
He's
gotten
like,
to Batman yet.
He'd probably just shoot Deathstroke in the head with a clock.
No.
No,
Like,
he uses spider powers. It's right in the
If this
name.
is what he thinks Spider-Man will deal with all of Batman's villains, what the hell does he think Batman's gonna do with all of Spider-Man's villains? Holy fuck! Oh my god, moving on.
Joke and Ra's al Ghul might be the most dangerous, though, because let's break this down. They're very intelligent and strong
Well,
and
hold
skilled.
on. Deathstroke is really more of a DC in general villain, not really a Batman villain per se, but that's just me. So
Also,
anyway.
he'd be like, "You're like Deadpool, but not funny." Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Like, because that's basically what Deathstroke is. Wasn't Deathstroke first, and then they copied
yeah,
him? with
Deathstroke
Deadpool?
was first, although Deadpool wasn't really based off of him per se. He was more so based off of Spider-Man, Wolverine, and Snake Eyes. The only real Deathstroke connection are their names being similar. That's it.
Huh. Oh yeah, they both involve death. Yeah. And then Ra's al Ghul, I'll agree with. That would probably be the most interesting one, just
Yeah.
because he kind of controls the whole secret network. Spider-Man would have some shit to figure out there, and then he also.
Yeah, the League of Assassins are basically the Hand, but on steroids.
Yeah, he'd be like, "Do all you ninja organizations know each other?" I always do Spider-Man in the balls dropping voice.
Deathstroke is on par with Taskmaster in terms of skill, and Taskmaster can give Spidey a really big headache. But Spidey has beaten.
No, that's not his power. He doesn't give people headaches.
Further, while Deathstroke is skilled, he's not fast enough to match Peter's reflexes. And with Peter's spider sense, he'd be able to
Okay,
avoid a
hold
lot
on.
of the
This
Deathstroke
fight
can
against
throw at
Firelord was bullshit. Let's be real here. This was bullshit. It's like, do you guys know who he's
What was the
fighting right
context
here?
for this? I haven't read this.
Okay, so so who Spidey is fighting? You can't really see it, but it's Firelord, who's one of the
Herald
Heralds of Galactus, and Spidey's just
Very strong,
punching
very
him
powerful.
out. It's like if Spider-Man is that strong, then he could easily crack New York State in half. No.
But he has the black suit on.
No, I don't care. I don't care. This fight's bullshit. Let's be real here.
Spider-Man is as strong as he needs to be, Backseater.
This fight should not be counted. It's bullshit.
It's kind of like when they did X-Men versus Avengers and they had like Magic facing Black Widow. Now they did have Magic win, but it was way harder than it should have been. And then she like fucking stabs Black Widow, but it's like, oh, but it's a non-lethal sword. She's just knocked out.
Oh, okay. I guess that makes it fine then.
Wait, so is Ant lumping in like all of Peter's feats into one, like at all points in his comic history in the mainstream?
I still don't even know.
Because the black suit too. It's like
because Backseater, if you remember during the Acts of Vengeance storyline, like Peter was ridiculously overpowered because he was using the powers of Captain Universe, who was like one of the most powerful heroes in the Marvel universe. Like he was way more overpowered than he is now. Like with his powers already.
Yeah, that's the thing. Ant just hasn't set the parameters clearly enough.
Feels like he's just picking and choosing based on like what he wants to talk about in that moment.
It really seems
and then so
like
it just
that,
kind of jumps all around, capability wise.
This is literally so far. This has just been his Pokemon characters I'd sleep with tier list, but even worse.
Number 1, Jinx.
Oh my god. Moving on.
At him. Bane is strong, but his strength is a fraction of what Spider-Man often faces. Now, Bane's peak strength I've seen estimated to be at around 15 tons, while Venom or Carnage can lift 50 tons or more.
Death battle, fucking Superman, Goku, whatever.
It's Bane's intelligence, though, that would make him a threat, not so much his power. But even then, I think Peter Parker is on par with Bane. After all, Bane's great strategy that beat Batman originally was just break all of Batman's enemies free and wait for bats to come home and use the bathroom at the end of the night.
The beauty of this is its simplicity. Once a plan gets too complex, everything can go wrong.
But unless Bane comes up with a good strategy to stop Peter, a one-on-one fight won't go well for Bane, especially if Peter Parker exploits Bane's weakness, that his venom gives
they make the venom red in that cartoon. That just makes it look like blood.
That fucks up our plan.
Well, call him up and explain it to them, Walter. Your plan is so fucking simple and you don't fucking understand it.
Raish, however, he's the whole package. Brilliant, massive resources.
His dating profile, I'm the whole package.
This is a person who can take on the entire Justice League. I think Raish is the only person.
He
do that when he had Batman's plans.
I don't think Raish is fucking winning against Superman as he typically is. No.
Technically, it was him taking him on, but it's like after he got a cheat sheet for everybody from someone else.
Yes.
Kind of like when you have perfect intelligence, sure.
Yeah.
Intelligence in the gathering intelligence sense.
Yeah.
And Peter would have a really hard time with. Until Peter reaches Raish directly, and then in a one-on-one fight, Peter wins.
Victory is yours, detective.
So we've determined that Peter can probably.
I personally don't think so. No, I still think Raish would win a one-on-one. Raish has centuries of experience under his belt. No, he's not winning, even with like the power disadvantage. No, I'm sorry.
Doesn't that apply? Would that apply to Batman too? Like, doesn't he beat him one-on-one?
Well, now that just brings up the question: did Raish teach Spider-Man in this fucking?
Oh.
So like.
He trains under him for a while and then he beats him. Well,
then in that case, no. I don't believe Raish would train up this wimpy ass boy from Queens. No.
No, I'm asking about Batman. Like Batman trained under him for a while and then he beat Raish. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that would be a bit. And also, I feel like he just made a huge leap there, where he's like, until they get one-on-one. It's like, well, who's to say he would be able to get to the one-on-one? Like. that's just leaping over all of Raish's strengths, his organizational strengths.
At the very least, if it were to conclude in a one-on-one fight, no, it would be a coin flip on who would win. That is as generous as I can get.
Yeah, like spider sense, I guess, would be a big advantage, just, as far as, like, any tricks or, crazy combat maneuvers, but even that's just kind of a general warning, so... And then Raish might be as much of a combat genius to figure out, like, oh, he's got something that's predicting, I have to be unpredictable, and start, like, reversing things mid-thought and everything.
Yeah.
And I feel like he'd have some counters in play.
Moving on.
Beat the vast majority of Batman's adversaries. It's hard for them to catch him off guard, he's intelligent, and his humor might drive some of them absolutely batty.
They're already batty, that's their whole point.
My jokes were bad.
I'd love it especially if Peter just refuses to answer any of the Riddler's questions just to piss him off. I would love that. But I don't think anyone was questioning whether or not Spider-Man would...
Whoa, wait. I feel like he would play along with Riddler more than the other ones. Like,
yeah.
Because he's so smart, he would want to, like... He's kind of, like, cocky smart at times whenever he's in the Spider-Man costume. And so I feel like he would actually play along with Riddler a lot. I feel like that would be probably the last move that he would do, is just be all stoic and not answer.
Yeah.
He'd be quipping back at him and asking him riddles in reverse and stuff.
Back with more trophies, eh, Nigma?
Yeah, like, I feel like, again, he just, like, doesn't get Spider-Man's character at all. Like, I'm not even a comic expert, and I feel like he keeps getting the 180 of what Spider-Man would do.
You wrote for CBR, Comic Book Resources, and you're getting all this shit wrong about comic book characters.
A really popular, like, top 3 one, too.
Yeah. Fucking hell.
Struggle with Batman's rogues. The majority of them are humans. They don't have any superpowers. A few do, but even those, it's comparable to what Spider-Man usually faces. No, the big question was Batman fighting Spider-Man's rogues. That's the part that got people upset.
None of us would ever do that to you. Then you're damn fools.
Because Batman, obviously, he is the Bat God. He's a figure who can stop anyone with prep time, right? Even Superman. But when you really break it down, there's a few problems with Batman fighting the likes of Doc Ock, Green Goblin, Venom, etc.
I disabled your suit,
See
all
Batman
of you.
as this god who, with a little prep time, can stop any adversary. And this is inaccurate. The myth of
what is this 2008 meme shit? It's like the black box with the text underneath it. That reminds me of like Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged, anyways.
Yeah.
What is this? Mutt. I'm just reading the text boxes now.
One of the worst in modern comics, employed mainly thanks to 2 stories in the fandom, The Dark Knight Returns and The Tower of Babel.
Yes. I've carefully studied every Justice Leaguer, past and present, and created contingency plans to neutralize you, should that ever become necessary.
Now, I've referenced Babel with Raish being able to take on the Justice League, but the story of Tower of Babel focuses on Raish taking the contingency plans that Batman has created to counter the Justice League and turning them on the Justice League.
The members of the Justice League are among the most powerful and potentially dangerous people on the planet.
You think one of us would go over to the other side?
Or succumb to mind control? Yes.
This established Batman as a paranoid figure who had a plan to stop any adversary on any occasion.
None of us would ever do that to you.
Then you're damn fools.
Now, a few things to note.
Thanks for
Tower of Babel only
again.
happens because Batman had time to
it was like the second time in a minute.
Intimate level, exploiting secrets they entrusted to Bruce. Now, for another, many of these plans worked because they took the various heroes by surprise on an individual basis.
The entire scenario was created to convince you that you made a bad call. But you didn't. You were dosed with the synthesized version of the Scarecrow's fear gas. Because will is the source of your strength, and fear is the enemy of will.
Bruce's plan was only successful when the League was divided and unable to help each other.
What is Green Lantern's outfit there? I feel like I've never seen that.
Hang on, let me see.
I know.
Oh, that's Kyle Rayner.
It's a lot of sleeves going on there.
Yeah.
As opposed to Wonder Woman, who has no legs on. Anyways, yeah.
Ayo.
Also, Bruce was able to rescue the League from his own plans, and from there, the same tricks don't work twice.
I wanted to remind you to stay out of my way. In all the years to come, in your most private moments,
I want you to remember the one man who beat you.
As for The Dark Knight Returns, and indeed any story where Batman fights Superman and has an edge, there are a few things to consider. Again, Batman has prep time. He's had years of time to observe Superman and his weaknesses.
It wasn't easy to make, Clark. It took years and cost a fortune. Luckily, I had both.
Also, Superman is unwilling to hurt Bruce. As we see in Batman Hush, Superman, even under Poison Ivy's mind control...
I feel like this is like, he's really... So he's going into the Batman with prep time beats anyone as the chapter, but he's just kind of recapping Batman, like, versus Justice League shit.
I think I think this is another example of Ant really wanting to make a different video. So he's just wrapping his video in another video as a turducken dish, sorta, because he didn't have enough material to make that like its own feature-length video. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to make a video about how Batman with prep time isn't as fucking as much of an argument ender as people think it is, but I don't have enough fucking I can't make a good enough script out of it. I'll just wrap it in my what if Spider-Man and Batman switched villains video. Feels like that again.
Yeah, I honestly feel like this could have just been a few shorter shorter format videos, because like he brushed over the whole Spider-Man side of this, which is theoretically half of it. But look at the time that we're at, and he's only spent like a couple minutes like, oh, so Spider-Man pretty much bodies all the Batman villains. Anyway, about Batman. Like, it was a really odd format and timing, because he's basically less than a quarter of the way through, and half of that was introduction and shit. So it's just like, oh, you don't want to talk about Spider-Man. Okay.
Doesn't want to hurt Bruce and thus pulls his punches.
Hold on,
through
John,
mind
go
control.
back. He's got that stupid ass text going by too fast. Go back 10 seconds. All right. Play.
Yep.
Superman, even under Poison Ivy's mind control, doesn't want to hurt Bruce.
Also noteworthy, Batman exploits Superman's fear of hurting anyone by opening up a gas main. Okay, play.
Bruce and thus pulls his punches.
Thus, Superman refuses to use his heat vision in fear of detonating the buildings above. Okay. It's like, fucking Christ.
Sure.
Fucking Christ. And please just have this text on longer than 2 seconds.
Also, like, whenever I make a thumbnail, fucking nothing YouTuber that I am, I make sure to contrast if I make like words with whatever image they're ahead of. This is like white on beige and white.
And has no sense of color contrast. No, that's something else I've noticed about him. No.
That's why I almost always use the green and red outlined kind of text, because it usually kind of at least outline this. Like, it just separated a little bit from the background. It blends in.
Yeah.
Even through mind control. This makes Superman a surprisingly safe adversary for Batman to fight. Because
Superman
he's never
getting that Ivy
Whenever Bruce wins against Superman, it's because he's able to snap Superman out of mind control or fight long enough to land a couple hits in. Bruce never puts Clark down forever, just enough to stun him.
Yeah, couldn't he just do like a kryptonite bullet, and like he did whenever in Tower of Babel? Wasn't that like his plan for him?
Yeah, I don't know, something like that. Yeah, the Tower of Babel movie takes a lot of liberties with the storyline. The overall gist is the same, but yeah, there are a lot of liberties. Anyway.
So it's like if he really wanted to just kill him, yeah, he would make something like incredibly lethal. Like, I mean, obviously Zack Snyder, so he wanted to kill him here, but he did it with a spear for some reason.
Lex Luthor kills Superman in the DC Universe Online trailer with a kryptonite spear. So yeah. That trailer's fucking badass. That is like one of the most badass CG trailers to a video game I've ever seen. It's like up there
the
with
opening cutscene, right?
No, it's just a trailer. It's like up there with the Deceived trailer from Star Wars: The Old Republic. Anyway.
You are never a god.
Now, the big argument that you saw constantly with all this discussion was, if Batman gets prep time, he can beat anyone. Now, strangely, they never apply this to other characters, do they? Like Spider-Man, for example. With prep time, Spidey is able to stop Morlun, an energy vampire who was deemed impossible to even injure. He could take anything. He could take any strike to the face and he'd still shrug it off. Moreland feeds on totemic energy, specifically the animal totems that Spider-Man embodies and that Batman also embodies.
What?
And could digest it and process it to make him...
Hold on.
What?
How the hell does Batman embody shit that doesn't exist where he's from?
Ant's confused. Vixen is animal totems.
Yeah. Oh my. What the hell?
Neither one of these guys has animal totems.
What the hell? What the fuck, Ant? What the fuck?
I like that image though. It's just a bunch of Spider-Man heads on a wall.
Doesn't Animal Man's entire power set disprove what he said?
Yeah.
When it comes to the DC universe.
Yeah. It's like, what is it? Does he mean like Barbados from Dark Knight's Metal? Because that wasn't what Barbados was, Ant. I don't know. I don't know.
Young, like a vampire. However, none of Spider-Man's greatest hits, his biggest punches, his hardest blows, could even bruise Moreland. So Peter realized that fighting Moreland was pointless, but Moreland, when absorbing Peter's totemic energy, was also absorbing Peter Parker's radioactive energy. The radiation,
gave him cancer.
Radiation endowed upon him by that radioactive spider everyone always talks about. By dosing himself up with even more radiation, when Moreland fed on Peter, that burned Moreland from the inside out, allowing Peter to weaken Moreland enough.
You seriously gave him cancer?
Now, Batman would not be able to dose his body with that much internal radiation. He would die. He could not survive that. So, someone like Moreland, Batman would have nothing. His gadgets, his weaponry couldn't stop Moreland. He'd have to beat him from the inside.
He would just make a bat totemic energy absorber.
Yeah.
And that would beat him. He'd be like, I formulated something based on your totemic energy absorption last time we met, Moreland.
That's I mean, even if Batman doesn't have like fucking prep time to like beat Moreland in their first fight, he can still make a tactical retreat and just like conjure up something that way. That's a viable strategy Batman employs a lot. So like, yeah. Anyway.
I'd poison him with radiation. And the only reason he'd consume that much radiation is if he tried to absorb Batman's totemic energy, his life force. To a lesser extent, villains like Venom and Carnage can only be beaten with prep time, and even with preparation.
Wait, what? No.
No.
You're saying nobody can beat them?
It's just sound or fire. That's literally the symbiote's weaknesses. Literally.
Yeah, Batman probably has something that can emit sound at high frequencies.
Oh yeah, he definitely does. He has like fucking devices that summon bats by emitting a sound. He could use those or rejigger them to like make loud sounds.
How does Spider-Man beat Venom? He gets the suit off by being like, "Oh, these church bells seem to weaken you."
Yeah,
like Batman wouldn't figure something like that out during a fight.
But yeah, just throw a batarang at the fucking church bell. Dong, dong, dong. Yeah, easy peasy.
A Backseater and his dongs. All right.
It might take Batman a while to figure that out, but that doesn't mean he can't exploit it.
I feel like I've seen a fight where Batman, he's facing someone who's like really tough, and he tries out like all these different elements and stuff. Like he probes his enemies. He doesn't just like, he isn't with a bad writer, probably he's a bat god where he'd be like, I see by your blah 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 signature that I can use this to defeat you. But whenever he's being intelligent, he's like probing and like, oh, I'll try a little fire, I'll try a little, oh, they seem to respond to the fire, okay. Like he would try out all sorts of shit as soon as he knew that they were like a super powerful being.
Venom has proven immensely difficult to beat, even though his weaknesses are sonics and fire. In just about all of Peter's fights with Venom,
another thing to take into account is that Venom is difficult for Spider-Man specifically because he counters a lot of his powers.
Yeah.
Because symbiote was once attached to him, so
Yeah,
it doesn't trigger
Yeah.
his fire sense.
So, yeah, and again, I have to bring up my question again. Does this mean that both Spider-Man and Batman went... Again, he hasn't laid out the ground rules yet. Does this mean that both Spider-Man and Batman went through their respective storylines in their places? So, like, wouldn't the symbiote also know all of Bruce Wayne's stuff then?
Well, no, I don't think that's what he's saying. I think he's just saying they get randomly dropped when all the villains are established. It's not like saying, oh, Batman loses Uncle Ben instead of like his parents or anything like that. They're all just very well established in their superhero careers, as are the villains, and they just get swapped out. Just randomly.
He'd be like, he would immediately analyze though and just be like, it appears to be a symbiotic being probing with blah 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 gadgets. He'd just be like trying out. He'd figure out their weaknesses pretty quick, I feel like.
Yeah.
Even though his weaknesses are.
I wanted to pause on this one. There's Spider-Man with a gun. That's how Ant thinks of him all the time with his flamethrower fantasies.
So this panel right here is where Ant got that idea. Good to know.
See the flame behind him and Spider-Man's holding a gun. He thought, oh, flamethrower, that's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Sonics and fire.
I like Spider-Man shooting people, though. I don't know why. It's just a funny image. I'm holding a gun in general.
In just about all of Peter's fights with
Here's Venom beating Human Torch after taking 2 hits from a hits from a sonic gun. All right.
All right. Well, how long ago were those hits, though? I mean, you might have had time to recover.
Yeah.
Venom. Peter only wins because he has a very clever strategy, and it's always a different.
The Human Torch later briefly stuns Venom with a Nova Flame, the heat of the sun. Okay.
Well, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Suck brine, Sparky.
Strategy. Church bells.
That looks like it's a disembodied head in that photo, in that panel. He's like, I am Spiderhead.
Playing the symbiote's love for Peter, faking his own death. And these tricks don't work a second time. And even then, some of Peter's enemies are also masters of preparation, most notably Kraven the Hunter.
Oh, Batman would beat Kraven easily. Let's be real here.
Yeah, don't use anything from the Spider-Man 2 PS4 game either.
Yeah.
Because that game is shit, and they just constantly shit on Peter in order to prop up and put over Miles. It's like whenever, you know, wrestling gets an idea to put one person over another, even though everybody likes the character that they're trying to fucking shit on. And they try to put over the character everybody hates.
I hate it when they do with Kraven. This game's like, oh hey, we need to hype up Kraven real hard. Let's have him kill everyone off screen.
Oh, and then they don't even have Peter
Shocker
overcome
went out like a bitch in this game. No fucking cap.
Oh, the worst though is to get the symbiote suit off. It's like you play a boss battle as Miles kicking the ass of Peter with the symbiote suit on. So instead of Peter actually overcoming and confronting his personal demons, it's just, Miles, save me. Oh, you did it.
Save me, my black best friend.
You have to get the black off me. I swear I'm not racist.
Yeah.
I'm assured that material is unbreakable.
Kraven is in many ways Batman's equivalent, a man whose only power is immense skill, immense strategy. But while Batman is a detective and Peter is a scientist, Kraven is a hunter, and he uses his brains to hunt any adversary, even Spider-Man. And even with prep time, it doesn't always work. The second Kraven set a giant trap for Venom back in the 2000s, exploiting Venom's weakness, fire. And even then, Venom still wins, even when surrounded by a halo of flame.
Because over the years, he developed a resistance to this stuff. That's why. Also, he's conveniently forgetting about that one fucking panel where fucking Venom just about jumped off of Eddie because Spider-Man was holding a lighter.
Yeah.
Like, you guys know what I'm talking about, right? That panel, yeah. No. Like, that's it. That's really enough, so, yeah.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Venom guts Kraven. And let's be perfectly frank, if we're talking intellect, Doc Ock ranks among the best.
So refreshing to work for a man like Octavius. Backup plans for his backup plans.
The man has no powers, yet manages to constantly outmaneuver his enemies.
He has metal tentacles attached to him.
It's like saying Iron Man has no powers. Like, yeah, technically true, but his technology basically gives him superpowers.
Yeah.
Like,
Also, you wanna know something funny about Doc Ock in this game? I don't know if you guys know this, but the guy who voices Dr. Octopus is the same guy who voiced Rigby from Regular Show.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, legit, yeah. Small world. Anyway.
Another fun fact, he's very bald.
Yeah.
Anyway.
To the point where he ranks as one of the few villains to claim they thoroughly defeated Spider-Man and then became Spider-Man.
Oh, wasn't that the comic storyline everybody hated?
Superior Spider-Man, yeah.
Wasn't that and like the Clone Saga I always hear about as the worst ones?
Spider-Man has so many bad storylines, it's not even funny.
Well, when you're around that long, I guess it's inevitable.
Yeah, and a lot of people hate it because Peter actually stays dead when you think about it, because the Peter that replaces Doc Ock after he leaves Peter's body is simply a memory of Peter. It's not the Peter that was killed off.
So it's basically like a HD hard drive backup.
Yeah.
That explains why Peter's life has been so shit. It's literally a memory of his more incompetent days. That explains a lot. Anyway.
Such a disappointment.
So, if Batman gets prep time, so do all the enemies that Batman is fighting. And many of them have proven just as talented with prep time as Batman has. And don't forget, Batman has had years and years of prep time against some of his adversaries. This is going to be his first confrontation with many of them. Meaning that he's going to be at a bit of a disadvantage compared to his usual group of adversaries, because he's had no time to prepare.
He beat them the first time too, though.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like he would at least be able to escape the first time and then analyze and be like, oh,
yeah, it's as
okay.
I said, tactical retreat.
Yeah. That happens all the time in superhero stories where it's like, you know, the hero almost always loses the first time because you have to establish the threat. And then, you know, they get away and they do their thing.
Yeah. Anyway.
All right.
Prepare. And many of them won't wait long enough to give them an opportunity to prepare.
Oh, Pete, are you okay? What's happening?
The majority of Spider-Man's villains are significantly stronger than the average Batman villain, and enough of them put Bane to shame. And the ones without strength have tools that make them a threat or powers that make them hard to counter. Now, enemies like Tombstone or Hammerhead, they're standard for Batman. He can take them down. They're criminal enterprises, sure, but they themselves in a fight, Batman wins. Kingpin might be a very interesting adversary for Batman to fight, though, because they are comparable in physical strength, they have comparable wealth, and they have comparable experience fighting adversaries.
Oh, wait, but you just said he was going to be so he's not going to have any of his wealth. So Kingpin is like a big advantage there, I would think.
Yeah.
Because Batman, even just being cut off from all of his like surveillance and all of his like stuff that gives him information, like I feel like Wayne Tech satellites and stuff like that.
Him not having the Bat computer is a major blow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even like not having, he has a lot of like Lucius Fox and somebody that like develops a lot of his shit for him, and like even Alfred helping out, like, you know, to monitor and analyze things back at home. Like he's basically like, if it's just Batman out in the field, that's a lot of disadvantage compared to his normal self that we see.
Yeah.
There he's significantly more powerful than they are. Keep in mind, the Kingpin regularly fights Spider-Man, who's vastly stronger than him.
We get it. Spider-Man's stronger.
But after...
You know, I often think when I see a clip like that, Kate Bishop kicked his ass.
Yeah.
In Hawkeye. He throws her around and she's fine as he's throwing Spider-Man through concrete walls.
Yeah.
I have
then
the
he
power
lost.
of
Then he
girl
lost to
boss.
fucking Echo of all characters.
Oh, that show never existed.
After that, things get harder. Vulture is just a guy in a suit, sure. Mysterio is just a guy with illusions, but both provide the
Just a
interesting sort
guy
of
with
threat
illusions.
that would force Batman to think on his toes.
He's a delusional, toxic
and while I
male.
think Batman would win, it wouldn't be as easy as you might think, especially Mysterio, who would use theatrics and misdirection just as much as Batman would.
I still feel like Batman would eventually like see through a lot of that though, and like figure out, like try to find a weak point.
like Luda's interactions with the Mad Hatter.
Yeah.
Yeah, like in the same way that Spider-Man has the advantage in physically based ones because he's like a step up compared to Batman. I feel like Batman is a step up like with the psychological warfare compared to like Spider-Man makes jokes, sure, but like half of Batman's wins are by psychologically outsmarting his dude. So like a couple villains, I think Mysterio, he'd pretty quickly deal with him and figure his stuff out. And then like, even though I joked about it earlier in the reverse, like Black Cat, I feel like he would, I know she's not like an outright villain, but he would pretty quickly like suss out her game and just be like, I've dealt with your kind before and you're a child compared to her, like intellectually, you know, because like Selena, I feel like is a lot better at playing him than like Alicia would be, and he would just kind of like call her out on her bullshit right away and tell him what he wants to know.
Yeah.
And then there's other villains like Shocker.
Great
career criminal. He's definitely Batman's bread and butter, and someone that Batman could win. But while Shocker may be a joke enemy for Spidey, he may have a very successful career in Gotham if he ever went there, because he is.
This is answered by Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe. Raiden fucking hits Batman right in the chest with a lightning bolt right as when he first meets him. He's like, insulated armor.
To be fair, John, that's not canon, but yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
I know. I'm just saying he can deal with electricity. You know, that's not a out of this world thing for Batman to deal with.
Yeah, for stories like that, you kind of need to have him be overpowered or just write certain scenarios that wouldn't. Yeah, power creep.
Well, in Injustice, they have like the nano machine pills that even out everybody's strength so that they can all fight. They're like, oh, Harley Quinn took a bunch of nano machine pills, so now she can fight Superman.
Yeah. Dude, like Supergirl's super move in Injustice 2 would kill everyone on like half the cast in that game. Yeah.
It's kind of like in Dragon Ball games when you fight as Krillin and you're like facing Perfect Cell or something. And you like Destructo discs him and KOs him. It's like, what?
Yeah. Anyway.
So simple, but so effective with his tools.
You can't escape me! I'll chase you to the ends of the earth!
Then there's more powerful.
He's getting his mileage out of these funny Spider-Man 90s clips.
Yeah.
The other one that comes to mind is the X-Men clip. I don't know if you guys saw this. Whenever Banshee is in the old X-Men show, he's screaming that as like a hard rocker. He's like trying to fly above the ocean by screaming down and like using.
I've never seen all that show.
No.
I've been watching.
He just goes like, yeah.
Hang on, I gotta look this shit up now. Hold on.
Yeah, just like Banshee Scream 90s X-Men or something. It should come up.
The animated series Banshee.
It's funny in the clip because immediately afterwards, Charles Xavier is like, it cuts to another scene, but Charles Xavier like is holding his head and goes, oh, yeah. Like he's reacting to the clip. It's just the voice acting is so bad.
Fuck?
He's like, yeah.
What the shit? Oh my fucking god. Oh man. Oh, Oh man. Anyway.
I've now educated Backseater on 2 things on this show, and that is Amanda Stenberg's tits that I had him look up the one time.
Oh my god.
And now Banshee's scream from the 90s X-Men.
Oh my god. On Backseat, boys, we learn something new every week. Yeah. Anyway, moving on.
Electro.
There he is.
Scorpion. Both are extremely powerful for different reasons. Electro especially. Yes, Electro can be short-circuited and overcharge, but he's also capable of generating EMPs and possesses minor magnetic control, which means most of Batman's metal-based weapons.
Picturing Jesse from Breaking Bad, like, magnets, bitch. He's like, oh, he has minor magnetic control. Batman's screwed now. That's his one weakness.
Fucking magnets. How do they work?
He deals with Darkseid, but magnets? Oh no,
oh,
Batman's
no,
screwed.
That was like crip him, no. Oh my god.
Batman just goes into a fetal position when he mentions that power.
Or technologically based weapons would be completely useless against Electro.
No, they wouldn't. What the hell? No.
God.
No.
He has analog like weapons too. Like an EMP isn't going to eliminate all of Batman's shit. Like
it's like, oh shit, I got hit with an EMP. I guess my batarangs are useless now. No.
Can be turned into Electro's weapon while it's on his body. For that matter,
Scorpion. The way he just said that made it sound like wallets on his body. I'm like, what?
No. Batman's armor is not like 100% metal. No, what are you talking about? And again,
He's thinking of like the Dark Knight armor, the Dark Knight Returns armor. I mean,
no, what the hell? No. It's like, again, this is why I ask what fucking continuity we're going about, because Batman's armor looks different in all of them. Hell, depending on the artist, his armor can look different.
I know, like, this is his most popular video and everything, but I feel like it's just like he jumps all around, all over. It feels like he's not going in depth with anything. He's just kind of like brushing over things in the weirdest way.
Yeah, a lot of this video is looking really half-baked, and we're almost halfway through it, for fuck's sake. Anyway, here's Scorpion.
Has a ton of power thanks to his suit, which has only become more lethal since working with Norman Osborn. Assuming Scorpion doesn't have the Venom symbiote, Batman would need to be in a constant state of motion to counter everything Scorpion throws at him.
Okay, so what?
Especially considering that Scorpion...
Yeah, really.
He's dodged,
Scorpion, I feel
he's
like is...
dodged Darkseid's Omega Beams, but Scorpion? Oh no, he's too much.
Well, and all the shit he mentioned before about like, oh, Spider-Man's so physically stronger, that's very true. But Batman has defeated those same villains, which means he knows how to deal with villains that are physically stronger than him.
I think this is just either Ant just really hates Batman or he's hyping up Spider-Man way too fucking much in this video.
He's like, I would like Batman, but he's a 1%er, which means that he's evil because he's a billionaire.
Yeah.
has no apparent weaknesses. Sandman, he's in a lot of ways similar to Clayface, with one key exception: mass. Sandman can increase his body mass to kaiju-level proportions.
Just have him use the glue gun grenades from Arkham Origins. You know, the ones you like, John?
Yeah, he dealt with Clayface.
Yeah, he's got like the glue grenades, the ice grenades. Just use those.
Yeah, I feel like Sandman is just kind of, as far as like mechanically speaking and how it's dealt with in games, which of course how I always reference things, but it's like he's kind of similar to Clayface in that he can sort of mass up, he can manipulate himself in all sorts of shapes. They usually make weapons out of their arms and shit. So like Batman would, I mean, obviously Sandman can get bigger if there's more sand around, but he would have ways of dealing with that. He would suss out the weaknesses and stuff pretty quick.
Hanks and his Batmobile to even leave.
He'd call in Anakin Skywalker. Be like, look, Anakin, an entire man made of sand. I hate you. he just goes ham on him. Sandman's like, what the fuck did I do? Jesus. That's space Jesus to you. Ah.
You're rough, you're coarse, and you get everywhere. No, I don't. What are you talking about?
This is a new fantasy. Screw this video. I want to see that death battle. Anakin versus Sandman.
Yeah.
Leave a dent in Sandman, should it get that bad. The entire terrain can become an extension of the Sandman's body, turning a battlefield into a singular.
Sand,
Hang on. I thought Batman was getting thrown into New York City, not the fucking Mojave.
Yeah, why is he assuming everything is sand?
I get that New York City has beaches, but it's mainly an urban setting.
Like, what if they're not fighting by Coney Island, though?
Yeah.
Then what does he do?
Yeah.
Also, like, again, Miles Morales and Spider-Man beat, like, I'm trying to think of how that's resolved in the game. I think they just throw heavy shit at him, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but in the same way Spider-Man uses his webs, like Batman can use those glue grenades. Also, this is from the PS1 game, still the best version of Spider-Man because he's married to Mary Jane in it. They bring in all the rogues gallery, good humor. Anyways, I gotta play that game.
There was a fan film a while back that's just a recreation of this game, but with like action figures.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
like
really.
It's like stop motion.
Yeah,
and shit?
stop motion action figures. Yeah.
You know, I made a stop motion Sonic the Hedgehog film in high school where we used fish string to move the action figures and everything around. Yeah.
Anyway.
So, I'm a rhino, you're a scorpion, and he's an octopus. What's a Mysterio?
It's a great game. The guy trades blows with the Hulk. Batman has superior wits, sure, but he can't take a hit from Rhino. He'd have to really be able to maneuver.
Just defeat him the way he beats the Titan bosses in Arkham Asylum.
He has to face Bane. Like, you just made the point about all the physically stronger Spider-Man villains and how they wouldn't match up with Spider-Man. Batman has also beaten those guys. So, like, yeah, he's not going to take a straight punch from Rhino, just like he's not going to take a straight punch from Bane. Like, you keep acting like this is some foreign thing to Batman, that he just goes in and punches everybody.
Around Rhino and exploit Rhino's lack of intelligence to have a hope of winning. Now, even then, with the majority of these enemies, I still think Batman can win.
What is that, Spectacular Spider-Man?
Spectacular Spider-Man in the symbiote suit fighting the Sinister Six, yeah.
Ah, nice.
Given enough time to prepare. Many of these...
Can I just say, Ant, get a fucking mic stand. So you don't have to hold the thing.
Does anyone fucking hate it when YouTubers hold their microphones? Especially like if they have lapel mics and they don't put it on their person.
Well, if they're at home, it bothers me. Like, I understand if you're just outside the theater or something and you need to like do something mobile, but like he's just sitting at home and instead he decides to carry his microphone around. That's a nitpick, but it's just a little pet peeve.
Kino, you're gonna say something?
Or even just like a table or something.
Yeah.
Just like, you can't just... Doesn't your arm get tired? I just don't get it.
Or hell, just do what I do with my mic and just wear it around your head for fuck's sake. Anyway.
Yeah, there you go.
Villains aren't the kind that really change their strategies ever. Except for Mysterio, they're career criminals who use the same means of fighting in any situation. Electro's gonna shock someone. Rhino's gonna charge at them. Sandman's gonna bombard you with...
It just depends on the writer.
Yeah.
I mean...
Like the Batman villains evolve over time. He just talked about how Venom evolves over time. Or actually, that was something Backseat mentioned, that he developed an immunity to fire and stuff, so...
I'm not sure how bullshit the writing was in this, but didn't Spider-Man, like a few years back or recently, really struggle against Vulture? Like he was calling people saying, guys, I need help. Like
Zeb Wells' run. Oh god, yeah.
Yeah. I can't. He's gonna kill me. I'm so scared of this old man who with wings.
Oh, Peter got put through so much badass decay in that comic. Holy shit.
They have to call an angel to fight Vulture wing to wing.
Yeah, but another thing to take into account are the Spider Slayers. Like Smythe. He's constantly changing up his. He's constantly changing up his modus operandi. And robots.
Yeah.
Oh, the Jackal would be like that. That'd be another one. That's.
Well, then again, the Jackal's a villain we all kind of want to forget. So yeah.
Jackal, is it a jackal? Jackal. If it wasn't right the first time, why would it be right the 36th time?
Yeah.
Family Guy clip. Anyways.
Their strategies don't change all that much.
So refreshing to work for a man like
You already used that clip.
Stop playing clips twice!
But that goes out the window with Peter's heavy hitters. Green Goblin, Doc Ock, Venom, and
Venom.
Just another day in the life. Whoa! What the?
Oh, it's Carnage Ock.
Carnage,
I forget what they called him.
Carnage Puss, yeah.
Where Carnage jumps on Doc Ock after you beat them both separately.
Yeah.
And then he's just like, die. And you just have to run away from him the entire final level. It
So
gets
that's
like 10
where
times.
Reaper got his ultimate quote from. Anyway.
Hey, it was creepy back in the day. It was the one villain you couldn't fight easily.
Yeah.
This is where things get complicated for Batman. At first glance, Venom and Carnage might seem easy. They have easily exploitable weaknesses, like Superman, Sonics, and Fire, and Batman has both weapons on his person, so this should be easy, right? No. Venom and Carnage's vulnerabilities to Sonic and Fire have become less significant as the characters continue to grow.
Called it.
Carnage is basically...
I called that. Anyway.
Yeah. Had to piss me off. Anyways.
unaffected by Sonics now in the comics, with only microwave heat proving
that's just like
enough to stab.
That's just like a long-standing comic thing. Like they always end up overcoming that weakness, so you can come up with a new way. Because you just beat them the same way all the time, it would get boring. So if they're gonna keep bringing back a character, yeah, they're gonna get over their initial weaknesses.
Yeah.
Dagger Carnage, and even then,
or at the very
Carnage
least,
figured out
have another conflict involved to just switch things up.
Yeah. You can't just be repetitious with the story. I mean, like back in the 50s or whatever, I'm sure they were, where they were like, oh, I beat you again, Luthor, after dismantling your next giant robot or whatever. But I feel like they don't do that as much since like probably like the 80s onwards or so.
Mainly because the fleeting graphic, the fleeting demographic rule isn't really in place anymore. No.
To most microwave weapons. He's been able to mold his symbiote into the mechanics of the weapons to shut it down before it can even hit him.
Oh, I never watched that one.
Venom has been hit with Sonic and Fire weapons so often.
Yeah, I never watched any of the Venom sequels. I watched the first one. I just remember Tom Hardy in a lobster tank, and then the final battle was just two blobs fighting each other. You couldn't even tell what the hell was going on.
John, you want even less reason to see these films? Ant likes them.
Oh no.
Oh no. Yeah.
The first one I pretty much only saw because of Tom Hardy, and I'm like, oh, he's an interesting actor. You know, I'll check it out. I'll probably go to laugh at it halfway. And it's like, sure, but that's not going to appeal for a whole trilogy for me.
That he's begun to develop a resistance, enough so that Sonics can only stagger Venom, but unlike, say, many of the films, not be enough to beat him on its own. This means that Batman would need multiple measures to stop Venom if they fought, which, at this point, good luck.
You'll see us everywhere.
Still feel like he'd win.
Your nightmares.
That said, I don't think Venom would actually fight Batman, since Venom is so particularly obsessed with Spider-Man, or at least was before he fought Null and became a literal god being, so it's not likely that Batman would fight. But Carnage, that's a different story.
The question you posed is that they're all fighting each other. Of course they're gonna fight each other by the sheer premise you set up.
And Venom will sit in a bar and do nothing.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I'm supposed to fight you? I don't care enough about you. I'ma just sit this one out, yo.
It's like saying Spider-Man won't have to deal with Catwoman because she's not attracted to him. She's attracted to Bruce Wayne. It's like, okay. She's still there.
Oh, Joker ain't gonna fight Spider-Man. He doesn't give a fuck about this kid.
Yeah, I feel like half the villains would just not fight them if you're going to use that logic. It's like they'll find you. That's the job of the writer. Find some motivation for them to come to odds. Of course, according to him, Spider-Man and Mr. Freeze are going to be best friends robbing shit together, so who knows?
Anyway.
He's like, what do we need next, Doc?
Yeah.
Carnage possesses all of Joker's mania and vastly more strength.
Between the two of us, there won't be enough left of
Not as much intelligence, though, I feel like. So there's a bit of a trait. Like, Joker is weirdly intelligent, where, like, he'll pull shit out of his ass that, you know, he acts crazy, but then he always seems to be planning one step ahead whenever you actually get down to the having to deal with him.
Yeah.
than a matchbox, but we'll try, won't we?
Now, the interesting thing is that Batman and Carnage did fight once. In the Spider-Man and Batman crossover comic in the 90s, Carnage teams up with the Joker. The two of them fight. Batman and Spider-Man team up to fight the two villains. They trade enemies. But while Spider-Man just dispatches Joker with a few punches and it's pretty straightforward, Carnage is a little harder for Batman to fight. And the comic writers seemed to realize that, because the way they have Batman win is absolutely ridiculous. Now, if you've read the comic, you know what I'm talking about, but Batman exploits Carnage's inherent fear of death, which has never happened in the comics otherwise, and if anything, has been directly argued Carnage doesn't really have much of a fear of that, because he's been to death's door and back multiple times.
So why are you bringing
Carnage
this
has
up,
also taken
then?
immense psychic damage before, and not only survived it, but was able to strategize a way to counter said psychic damage. Back in Maximum Carnage, he's blasted with what is essentially a love beam, something straight out of Sailor Moon that's supposed to make all these people feel guilt and affection, and Carnage resists. Carnage is resistant to his paranoia, to his internal mania. The Sentry rips Carnage in half and drops him through the atmosphere, and he still comes back. Carnage is very hard to subdue. Carnage is a figure that can put the entire Marvel universe on watch, on his own.
No.
He's had multiple massive crossovers.
Hold on, no. The entire universe? No, get out of here. I mean, is Carnage really a fucking threat to Doctor Strange? Let's be real here. Come on.
They just said he was dealing with Sentry, apparently.
Okay, so what? Or what about Silver Surfer or Adam Warlock?
This is kind of like what you were talking about with Venom's BS fight before. It's like you can always find some comic where probably the writer grew up a big fanboy of whatever character, and they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna have him beat Sentry," or something. You know, like obviously that's not normally what he is. Otherwise, he would like one-shot Spider-Man if he was as powerful as Sentry. He would just like fucking destroy every time they faced off.
Yeah.
Events where Carnage himself is the main antagonist. Batman, even with prep time, would have a very hard time stopping him, in part because Carnage has found ways to overcome the vast majority of his inherent weaknesses. It is not as simple as, say, the movies or the cartoons will have you believe. Carnage is a difficult adversary to put down.
Well, why are you cherry picking just the most powerful versions? Because especially with comics where there's been a gazillion different continuities, writers, you know, different adventures that have a different focus. Like obviously if Spider-Man isn't the main focus of something, maybe he gets bodied by somebody else's villain, but that doesn't mean that Spider-Man's forever weaker because of it.
This is why we asked you what continuities you're pulling from here. Oh my god. It's not like you can just say, "Oh, it's not like it's like is it just all of them just merged into one general one, or really specific here? You can't just have PS1 Spider-Man, PS1 Carnage, and then fucking like 616 Venom. It don't work that way, bud. No. Anyway.
Although if you're gonna go off of one, it should be the PS1 Spider-Man. That should be the all-inclusive canon, because it's the best version, obviously.
Yeah. Anyway.
Even though they couldn't render spider webs on his suit, so he just looks like he's wearing a basic ass red suit.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of people cite the time Batman shot Darkseid in Final Crisis as proof that no one can stop Batman, but that scene is taken out of context. The bullet stopped Darkseid's physical body, yes, but only after the entire Justice League took part in a massive strategy to give Batman one opening. One that resulted in Batman's immediate obliteration thanks to Darkseid's Omega beams. Yes, now he's sent back in time and time travel and all that, but he was beaten. He only got one shot, and he made that shot count, but he didn't walk away from it.
He only got one shot. He didn't miss his chance to blow that opportunity. It only came once in a lifetime, yo.
Yeah.
Also, I feel like fucking Carnage doesn't have Omega beams, so I don't feel like it would be as much of a difficulty to shoot him.
No. Big ass fucking difference there.
And even then, Darkseid wasn't beaten by that one strike. It just left him vulnerable to Superman,
Man,
who attacked Darkseid's
Ant is
true
really
essence.
putting Batman down in this video. Like, holy hell.
I'm telling you, Batman's a billionaire. You can't like him too much.
Oh my god. Like, Ant, if you think Batman is overrated and overhyped, fine. But this is, like, legit getting excessive. It's like, oh, well, Batman's prep time isn't really all that hyped up to be. Oh, Batman didn't really put Darkseid down in this one fight. Oh, Batman's not as strong as people realize. It's like, my guy, just chill out with the bat slander, okay? Come on.
I mean, I'm actually of the opinion that he's kind of defending Batman slander, because the biggest slander he gets is being Batgod. That you get bad writers just throwing shit out there, so that he can just get out.
Okay, fine. You know, I get he's trying to dispel that, and that's fine. But my point is that he's going absolutely overboard with this and just putting Batman down to make him seem weaker, and thus in turn makes Spider-Man's villains look better, which in turn means that if Spider-Man has the better villains, then Spider-Man is the better character here. I feel like that's
I feel like he's talking about all the reasons that Spider-Man would have the advantage over Batman's villains, but then whenever it gets to like flipping the script, like the thing I mentioned a couple times where I'm like, but Batman dealt with those villains, so clearly he does something better because he beat them without that physical strength advantage. And he only talks about it like one-sidedly, where he's like, Spider-Man has all these advantages over Batman, and really Batman doesn't have any advantages over. It's like, no, there's kind of a trade-off. I mean, it's at least a different kind of intelligence, even if Spider-Man's not dumb. Batman is smart in a different way, and he hasn't really like gotten into anything where Batman has an advantage. He just seems to only be like, Spider-Man is better at everything.
Yeah.
So no, Batman on his own can't stop any adversary. He needs prep time, he needs friends, he needs companions. But on his own, Batman is not indestructible.
I thought he was just going to say Batman is not shit. Like, that's what it felt like it was leading up to. He's like, Batman needs all these other people. He's really a weak little pussy boy by himself. When pulling schemes, interesting wording. It makes him sound like a villain there. He's scheming, that little schemer.
Well played.
I think the three adversaries Batman would have the hardest time fighting, however, are Doc Ock, Goblin, and Kraven the Hunter. Yeah, Kraven the Hunter, Batman's opposite in Spider-Man's Rogues. I think that would honestly be the fight to watch if Batman...
Kraven's like intelligence and shit is not on the level of Batman.
No
like
fucking way.
He's like trying to draw this parallel. I'm just like, that's a big leap, dude.
Yes, because as we all know, Batman spends his downtime hunting endangered animals and making pelts out of them. Yeah.
I feel like if he could beat Bane, he could beat Kraven.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's basically like a weaker, because Bane is super intelligent, like as far as his strategy and having the organization behind him and everything. Like he's got his little gang, and which is kind of like what Kraven's, his henchmen and everything are. So yeah, it's so no, but he's really hyping up like Bane or Craven's intelligence just based on the fact that he trapped Spider-Man like he set a trap a couple times.
Because no other villain has ever trapped Spider-Man before. Absolutely not. No.
It wasn't even that complicated of a trap. It was basically, I forget what it was in the game, the scene that he was showing, but it was kind of like he lured him in thinking that he was going to get to Craven, but then Craven laid the evidence out, and so he had a little cage prepared for him.
Yeah.
Like, Batman would probably be able to suss that out.
And switched places with Spider-Man because they are equivalents of each other. They are both out of their league in a world full of the greatest heroes of all time and are still able to hold their own, to be a threat. That's interesting.
Okay, Batman's faced fucking Darkseid and shit. I feel like that's a different degree of out of your, like, is Craven fighting Anti-Monitor and shit? Like, what does he think Craven's doing? Like,
no, John, you don't get it. When Craven is in his downtime, he is coming up with like, he's playing like 8D chess. Don't you understand, John?
Craven hunts Galactus.
Oh my god.
He's like, I will eat you.
That was going to be the plot of Craven the Hunter 2. Craven fights Galactus.
Aaron Taylor Johnson's like punches Galactus's ankle. He's like, I tore your Achilles tendon, fool.
Oh no! How did he? My weak point. No. Oh my god. Anyway.
But you still hold back. Kill or be killed.
They would observe. They have multiple encounters to figure out the best ways of countering the other strategies.
You think your fancy new suit's gonna save you?
Doc Ock is a brilliant scientist. He's able to counter any tool Batman throws at him. And as for Goblin, well...
Hang on. Doc Ock hasn't... I don't know the comics as well, but he usually seems to stick to his guns of having 4 big mechanical arms.
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't feel like that's the same level of gadget creation as Batman.
No, Doc Ock is not the kind of character who would make fucking gadgets on the fly, no.
He really likes to exaggerate. He's either downplaying Batman's intelligence or he's greatly exaggerating the Spidey villain's intelligence.
Exactly, yes.
It's like this constant need to like try to draw them parallel one way or the other, and just to kind of discount like all of Batman's intelligence. He's just like, well, Batman's pretty smart, but all these other guys are just as smart. I don't know.
No.
Take Joker's mania, Lex Luthor's brilliance, and the powers of tech on par with both Spidey and Batman, and you get the Green Goblin. Batman struggles with Lex Luthor in No Man's Land. No Man's Land proves that Batman can be outmaneuvered by a brilliant businessman. Gotham is bought out almost entirely by Lex Luthor, an effort that he leverages in a bid to become president. Luthor is the sort of villain that Batman and Superman need help to stop, and Goblin is just as ruthless, having leveraged the events of Secret Invasion to become the head of S.H.I.E.L.D. Add to that incredible power, incredible cruelty, and Batman, yes, even with prep,
Okay, well,
I don't
hang on.
see Batman beating...
There's a bit of a difference between the director of like an intelligence like department of the government and the fucking president. Come on.
Yeah, Lex Luthor can literally scheme around Superman, who's a god. Of course he's smart.
Well, instead of comparing him to Lex Luthor, how about Amanda Waller?
Yeah.
Like, she's portrayed as being on equal terms of intelligence as Batman.
Yeah. So like,
and I feel like Spider-Man deals with like, you know, Nick Fury and stuff. That would sort of be the Amanda Waller, I suppose, in that universe.
I don't know, whoever's the head of the DEO in DC, Mr. Bones, that's who, yeah. So, literally, he's a skeleton, John. The skeleton is running the Department of Defense in DC.
Oh, I thought he was just like a porn actor or something, like Mr. Bones. Yeah.
He's a chain-smoking bone, like, skeleton man.
Yes.
Wait, well, I guess he can't get lung cancer if he's just a skeleton, so that's good.
Pretty much, yeah.
He's like, all right, I can smoke as much as I want. I get to look cool. I don't know how I draw the breath, but I do it.
Yeah.
That's an I did not know that comic lore. That's good to know.
Yeah, you're welcome, John.
The Green Goblin in a one-on-one fight, because the Goblin will be observing Batman as Batman observes the Goblin, and will create a countermeasure to stop him. Yes, Goblin is insane, but he's also very clever, and that cleverness is dangerous. So, what's the point of all this? Where's the end game with this conversation? I mean, there's surely a point to this. I
don't know, about another 20 minutes or so.
Let me guess. Spider-Man wins. Let me guess. Spider-Man wins. Batman sucks. I'm guessing that's it.
Spider-Man's way smarter than Batman, and Batman's just a little weak pussy boy, so...
Yeah. Also, John, hold it. That is the thumbnail right there.
The blurry hand.
Yeah, yeah, and his stupid face and his blurry-ass hand. That's the thumbnail right there. Anyway, moving on.
Make sure to get, I think it's like a 6th generation Pokemon there on the shelf next to him as well.
That's Mantine. Mantine is Gen 4.
I know.
Oh shit! Oh, I wasn't far off.
There is Bunnelby right there. Bunnelby's Gen 6. Oh no, Bunnelby's Gen 8. Fuck, I was wrong.
There's also some cool Pikachus too, and Piplup on top of Mantine.
You guys know your Pokemon. I'm like a Gen 1 or Boomer.
Is that Psyduck right? No, that's Pikachu. Yeah. Anyway.
Not the kind of person who just cares about these battles, right? Who beats who? What does it matter?
Except when I can monetize it.
Stan Lee was once asked who would win in a fight, one superhero or another, and his answer was, it doesn't really matter who it was, because the answer is the same no matter who it is. Because Lee's answer was, the winner is whoever the writer wanted to see win.
Obviously.
And ultimately, all these fights, where you throw heroes into the ring,
the
ring.
Go ahead, Kino.
Yeah, it all boils down to, is it quality writing? Is the writing good? And
are you using the established facts, or are you just ass-pulling something to make your character that you like more win? I feel like that would be the...
Well, yeah, but I thought that with this whole thought experiment, we were removing the influence of the writer from the equation and just seeing how they would act as we know them. So,
based on available facts and continuity.
So as much as I respect Stan Lee, his word doesn't really mean anything in this thought experiment here.
Yeah, because he's not going to make an hour-long versus video and then just at the end go, well, it's whoever the writer thinks.
Yeah.
He would have just made it a 2-minute video where he goes, well, it's whoever the writer thinks will win. Excelsior!
Yeah. Enough said, true believers. Yeah. Anyway.
Like, they're action figures. The winner will be whoever the writer wants to see win. But there's a problem with that.
What?
The problem is that one character can be written dramatically different in one story versus another.
You don't
Compare
say.
however Captain America is written in his own comics versus in other superheroes' comics.
The price of freedom is high. Always has been. And it's a price I'm willing to pay.
This uniform shows up in Mexico bashing heads in with you. It sends a message.
That you stand with mutants. Unless you don't now.
Gotta do this by the book, Rogue.
In other heroes' comics, Captain America is often the Boy Scout, the one who sides with the country.
Yeah.
It's like, no shit.
There's also...
go ahead.
Character assassination is also a thing.
Yes.
Like, they're not all depictions are equal.
Yeah, like even in Dark Knight Returns, that often gets shit for like the guy clearly liked Batman more, and so he really like portrays
Frank
Superman
Miller.
as like, oh, Frank Miller. He's like, oh, he's really gullible. Like Batman needs to lecture him to bring him back to his true self. And like I've heard a lot of people that are like big Superman fans are like, wow, he really kind of like shit on Superman this whole book and everything.
In defense of Frank Miller, Superman was in an antagonistic role in that book, so it's not like Frank Miller just hates Superman. It's just the way that, like, the story went, really. So, and,
No,
and
that's what I mean.
Frank Miller has gone on record saying that, no, I don't hate Superman. So, so make of that what you will. Anyway.
No, my main point with that is just that it's a Batman book. So
Yeah.
Superman's naturally going to come off worse because he needed him to be in an antagonistic role. And so, like, you know, people who are big Superman fans don't like it, but it's like a lot of times they'll use like another hero to put over a villain before the main hero of the book will face them.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Batman got beat real quick by this guy in the Superman book, and then Superman has to deal with the villain for the majority of the story.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, oh, you're going to use that against Batman now in some versus battle because, like, they needed him for a quick scene to get beat to show that the villain's a threat. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
We saw that to an extent in X-Men 97, for example. But in his own comic, he's often anti-authority. He's often questioning the government. He's often fighting the government. His whole Nomad arc is him in protest of the American government.
Yeah,
and that's to a lesser extent with the MCU because it is it's more of a solitary vision. But
Hail Hydra.
You know, the idea remains. When a character is written outside of their usual setting, they can be written in vastly different ways. Another idea is look at Spider-Man's villains. Look at Venom, for example.
Well, wait,
with two key...
Yeah, and if you character assassinate a character's established qualities by having them act the opposite, that is changing them differently. That doesn't make it good or... see, this is the problem. We're trying to establish, like, how Batman, in the way we understand him consistently, would go about fighting these fights. But when you introduce like all these other aspects and just apply them willy-nilly, then it just becomes, okay, then what are we even talking about anymore? Because the conversation stops being about Batman and it just becomes how, like, what can you give Batman so he could win?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I don't know. The comic book stuff is always tough to deal with, just because, especially with like long established characters like this, because you'll get stories both ways, and it's like, are you gonna cherry pick the ones where they look the worst, or cherry pick the ones where they look the best? Are you gonna take kind of the average? This is why the death battles with a lot of the old comic characters, because there'll be like one where they're a million years in the future and they're a god king or whatever, and it's like, oh well, clearly they win. It's like, but that's not really the normal version. So
well, John, the way Death Battle works is that no, they always go with, unless they specifically say we're going with like an alternate one, like what's an example? Like they've used Sonic's depiction in the Archie comics, right? They will tell you up front they're using that one. But if they just say, oh, Sonic the Hedgehog's gonna be Death Battle, it's gonna be Sonic from the games, right? And they only merge them all together if there is no main continuity, like the Ninja Turtles, right? There is no main Ninja Turtles continuity, right? So that's basically just how Death Battle works. Anyway.
Speaking of versus, Batman versus Shredder in the animated movie was actually a pretty cool fight.
Yeah.
Of the Ninja Turtles versus Batman meeting.
Yeah.
Vulnerabilities. In one issue, we can see Venom plow through a massive amount of Sonic punishment, fires and flames all over the place, and he can just plow right through and he's good. But in another issue, Spidey can just light a newspaper on fire.
That's what I was talking about.
No, that was just bad journalism is what he was fearing, though, and not necessarily the fire. He was like, such bias, liberal bias, no. Fake news, my one weakness.
Send the symbiote flying into the sky away from the flames. You know, like Dracula with a crucifix. And Batman, who has only one power, that he's rich.
I'm rich.
Not his power.
More subject to this.
Does he think Elon Musk is fucking Batman? He's rich. Probably. If that's his only power.
Probably.
He has the power of richness and autism on his side.
Elon Musk has weaponized autism.
Mahler can be his sidekick.
Yeah. Anyway.
variety of power set than Venom is.
I want you to remember the one man who...
Quit reusing clips!
In one issue, Batman can be challenged by Ra's al Ghul in a sword fight, and the two are evenly...
I just love that Batman has to take his shirt off, but he has to keep his mask on.
Like fucking Metal Gear Solid. Like the characters just throw their fucking clothes off in one big dramatic like swipe, right?
Snake liquid. Also, it looks like Batman is deflecting a sword with his thumb in this frozen panel.
Yeah.
Matched. In another, he's clobbering Superman.
Kryptonite, fool.
Makes sense. If you force it to.
The two are not comparable events. Batman's skill level is inconsistent. Now, a hero is only as interesting.
A lot of Spider-Man shit's inconsistent too. Like, there's different writers, obviously. Like, they're gonna mess up sometimes, and hell, a lot of modern writers, especially, will completely fuck things up. But
hey, it could be worse. It could be like Warhammer 40K, where Games Workshop just gave up trying to be consistent, which is a big reason why I'm not a hardcore 40K fan. I'm just a casual in that regard. I hate inconsistency like this, but in Marvel's defense, they are far less inconsistent in this regard. It's just like little factoids, like, does Batman care if the Justice League kill the Parademons? It's not massively differences, like, oh, Batman is okay killing in this one book, but he's not in this other. Anyway.
Interesting.
As the struggle they need to face in order to win. Now, Batman's whole conflict is that he is always one step away from becoming the very thing he fights.
It's too hard to cross that line. No, God Almighty, no. It'd be too damned easy.
Batman has said multiple times that his no-kill rule only exists because he fears what might happen.
There's something off with that movie. Like, I really like the general premise of it, but for some reason I just never really like to rewatch it.
Yeah.
That's Under the Red Hood. It's a little bit with the voice acting, a little bit with the lip syncing and animation, and I don't know.
If he ever takes a life.
All I've ever wanted to do is kill him. But if I do that, if I allow myself to go down into that place, I'll never come back.
If he crosses that line, he doesn't know if he'll ever be able to come back.
He just said
so
that.
Most of the conflict with Batman, it is him as a detective, him as solving a mystery, him as investigating, yes. But it's also the idea that Batman's morality is always put on the line. Whether it is empathizing with his villains, trying to help them out in some way,
not just
or
his morality, it's also
fearing
his
that he is
sanity.
Yeah, he thinks so, like, because he faces a lot of fucking insane people. He doesn't have any powers, so he's kind of a vigilante.
He doesn't want to become the crime that he crusades against, basically.
Right. Yeah. It's like, I'm just a killer, just like you. And, you know, obviously speaking of comic inconsistency, you know, back in the 40s or whatever, obviously Batman used a gun and shit. But
That's been deemed like non-canon, pretty much.
Yeah, isn't it like kind of in the 80s he kind of got a reset, like to where he got his kind of modern...
No, like way earlier, like as soon as Robin showed up, and remember, John, Robin showed up like a lot earlier than people realize. Robin was like 11 issues away or something like that. Because remember, Batman debuted in Detective Comics number 27, obviously, and Robin showed up in like, what the hell was it? Hang on, I'm looking this up. Hold on, I want to be correct here. Dick Grayson, first appearance. Dick Grayson showed up in Detective Comics number 38. I was right, 11 issues later. So yeah.
Okay.
And they said Batman's origin story a lot earlier. Plus, even in those comics where he did use a gun, he didn't really kill anyone. The only time he ever used his gun to kill someone was he killed a vampire, and he had to specifically craft a silver bullet for that guy. So yeah. Anyway.
And he was already dead, technically.
Technically, yes. So yeah.
Step away from becoming as bad as his villains, and most of his villains exist as perfect foils to Batman in some way. Ra's al Ghul, he is Batman's drive to stop crime taken to a fanatical degree. The Joker is one bad day. You know, he is what could have happened to Batman if he let his trauma send him over the brink.
Yes, exactly.
Two-Face, another figure, a crime fighter who was
You're just going to go through every Batman villain
in the pursuit of fighting crime and went over the edge. And you can go down the list of every single Batman villain. Bane, another great foil. They're all foils for Batman directly.
Poison Ivy.
It's a component of his characterization
Harley Quinn.
and distorting it in a way that is compelling and interesting,
Hang on, John,
but not
pause.
necessarily.
And what's Firefly a foil to?
Well, Batman could have become a pyromaniac after his parents were killed by a firearm.
Anyway.
Spectacular to watch in a fight.
Bruce. Good old Bruce. Always there. You never give up on me.
Early Batman the Animated Series, when Batman was in his Dwight Schrute suit craze.
Yeah.
The old mustard undershirt.
Yeah.
Two-Face doesn't have any inherent abilities that makes him particularly harder to fight in a fight than Riddler. The difference there is the psychological game between Batman and Two-Face. That's what's interesting.
He's right. You're always there for him.
Yes. Just like you're always there for me.
Hey, what are friends for?
We see Batman
we'll be more than
struggle with
friends,
emotions.
Jake.
He's always
What?
one step away, yes, but the Bat family brings him in. One of the great things with Tim Drake is when he's introduced is we hear Tim Drake say that Batman needs a Robin to keep him centered, to keep him from going over the brink. And that idea is so essential. Batman's family, the Bat family, is what keeps Batman from ever going too far. I think it's a beautiful concept.
Well, I don't know, Ant. Just like whoever that guy was in my chat the other day, where you hate some people hate the Force, and
Human help! Oh God!
where some people
God.
hate the Force
Kino-
and any mysticism in Star Wars.
Kino, you should have been there. It was a shit show, like legit.
I had to kick a guy for the first time ever. Like, I've never even considered that on YouTube before, but he was just bringing down the moves so much.
Oh my God! Fucking human help! Oh my God! So crazy.
I was like, oh, I really like these movies, and they're not super philosophically deep. He's like, but don't you want to know why you like them in your psyche?
It's like,
I'm just like,
it's
oh
like,
my
no,
God.
dude, I just like them. That's enough.
I like them because samurais are cool. But why are samurais cool? It's like, oh my God.
Why do people
yeah.
find things cool to begin with?
He just sounds like a sophist.
He
Like
is
he's
a,
just
he is a sophist.
It's like,
yeah.
take it to a philosophy video, dude. Like, I was doing a Star Wars, like a Disney Star Wars watch along, like to kind of shit on it a little bit. Yeah, and he's coming in like hot with the deep philosophical arguments. It's like, whoa. And
It's on your channel? Or
yeah,
I
was doing
stream he did.
yeah, I was doing a live stream and he popped in because it was like the night that the last 3 episodes of Andor came out. So like there were some decent, amount of people stopping in, and so one of them just ended up, one of them was like a guy who liked Andor, and I was perfectly fine like talking with him and everything. But then this guy just came in and he was hardcore, like, the Star Wars shouldn't have any force or mysticism because realism is always better. And I was just kinda like,
no Jedi, no spaceships, no aliens, nothing. It's like, well, then why not just have it be set on Earth then, for fuck's sake?
And then so yeah, I bring this up because like a lot of some Batman fans and everything are like, well, Batman is stupid anytime that he has any sidekicks or Bat family because he should just be Batman.
Those people legit piss me off because I'm a big Teen Titans fan and we wouldn't have the Teen Titans without Robin, so yeah. Fucking Christ.
What's this?
Training.
It's a basketball, you fucking
Hand-eye
idiot.
coordination.
Yeah.
One-on-one?
Cut to the Justice League, Batman stands apart as the weakest member of the team physically. He does not have Superman's strength, nor Wonder Woman's power, or the Flash's speed, or the Green Lantern's versatile abilities.
He didn't mention Wonder Woman's main abilities or hotness. Clearly, Superman has the power as well.
Yeah.
But you know, she can seduce any villain that they can't beat. That's usually her thing. Or Power Girl, you know.
Yeah.
Power Girl, use smother. It's highly effective.
Yes.
So how does Batman contribute?
I'm rich.
Well, to compensate for his
Stop playing that clip!
Who does that? Nobody liked the Justice League movie. Why are you using it as like your clip that like you characterize all of Batman off of?
I don't know.
Like, oh my gosh. Was that even in the Snyder cut? I forget.
I don't think so. I think
No,
it was Whedon only.
Yeah, so it's like the version that even less people liked. Like,
Yeah.
what are we doing? Like using that to just discredit all of Batman's other traits. He's like, oh, he's not intelligent. He's just rich. Oh.
lack of
Well, you
strength.
wouldn't have been able to get all that
Writers have
intelligence
elevated.
without the money.
He's white privilege. He only got education because of his money. Hello. Checkmate, Chuds.
Him to the Bat God, the hero who, with any amount of prep time, can stop anyone.
This is like Whiplash. It's like, I get that you can become Bat God and you can go too far in that direction, but you're just taking it the complete opposite direction where you're just like, he's pretty much just a rich guy, can't do shit. Wow.
Yeah.
Like, it's an overreaction to that problem.
Yes. And it's just going too far in the opposite direction, yes.
If he wrote I fear what Ant would write a Batman comic to be.
Oh, God,
it would
that
be like
would be
Batman
gay.
tripping over himself and stabbing his own neck with a batarang and dying. And be like, I was just rich.
It'd be like that fucking Harley Quinn comic where she just whines about Batman. You know what I'm talking about? The one from like a year or two ago.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
The only Harley Quinn comic that I've read is it was the New 52 and she fucking defeats Wonder Woman, strips her in a bathtub like while she's unconscious, and then she's supposed to still be the hero of the story. She like steals Wonder Woman's outfit.
It sounds like
what the fuck?
It sounds like something on the same level as that fart fetish comic.
Oh lord.
Oh my god.
No, that's a real thing.
Yeah.
Actual DC published title.
Oh, I was gonna say, like, I can understand that existing somewhere in the annals of the internet, but so it was like a big publisher did it. Okay.
DC Comics, where horrible ideas get published. Anyway.
Yeah.
Is a vast amount of technology. He's basically become, in some stories, the DC equivalent of Iron Man. A character with no inherent strength, but a great brain that can solve any problem. But this is not interesting to me personally, because
yeah, we can tell.
Batman's whole thing is he's a detective. He's great at stealth. He can sneak up on his adversaries. He plays a sight game. Where's the fun of seeing Batman come in with a tank? You know, that to me is boring. It's more interesting to see Batman sneak into a crowded facility.
Yeah, it's all about how it's set up. Obviously, he's facing like an army. He can't just sneak up on all of them. He'll have to make something. And that was like during Dark Knight Returns, where it's like he's trying to set an example for the city and everything. He's got to combat this crazy power. He doesn't even beat him with the tank. He gets out of the tank whenever he's goaded. And yeah, so that does an example doesn't even work.
Take out a target in a way that minimizes violence, that minimizes the amount of damage and destruction, while engaging in a psychological battle. It's not fun to watch him plow in with like the bat wing that blows everything up, even if it's a wonderful toy. It's just not as interesting to discuss, and it's not as interesting to watch, and it pulls Batman away from the gothic.
You have a very narrow view of what you want Batman. Like, I agree with the general premise that like what you're saying should be the norm for Batman. It should be gothic and stealthy and investigative. But like, that doesn't mean that he can never use a gadget, never use a vehicle, never use any, like, a little bit of variety is nice in certain situations. Yeah, he seems like he only wants the same story repeated over and over for Batman.
Yeah, that ain't gonna get boring fast at all, no.
You should just face Calendar Man every time.
Noir of his character, and into the more technological cyberpunk dystopia that an Iron Man story would occupy, which simply isn't as interesting to me.
Get those wonderful toys.
On the other hand, Spider-Man is a perpetual underdog. He's always struggling, both as Peter Parker and as Spider-Man. If he were selfish, he could use his powers to profit, but he knows the danger of doing so. He knows what will happen to those he cares about should he act selfishly. And so his adversaries manifest that change, either as an oppressive force that...
You want to know a problem that I've always had with early Spider-Man in regards to him not earning money? Is that when he... remember very early on when he tried selling his web shooters or his web fluid to certain companies, and they were like, oh, we can't accept this because it dissolves after use. Nobody would want this. And I'm just looking at that now and just think, man, this would make millions of dollars on Shark Tank.
Nah.
And people would totally buy that. It has a lot of use.
Maybe.
Yeah, I would very much buy the super tensile strength fluid that lasts for a few hours.
Anyway.
Can ruin lives or as underdogs hoping to profit on their own. The key difference between Batman's villains and Spider-Man's is that Batman fights manifestations of mania and obsession, while Spider-Man fights people who are defined by power, either the pursuit of it or the exploitation of it.
We don't need you to save us. We don't need to be fixed. These are not curses. They're gifts.
Peter tries to help his adversaries in ways that are very tangible. Sandman has...
This whole... So you're telling me that the question of what would happen if Batman and Spider-Man swapped villains, you're telling me that the answer is it doesn't really matter because their villains are different? Are you shitting me? If that's the case, then what was the point of this entire video then?
It's also, I'm not interested in Batman as much as I am Spider-Man.
Oh.
Is basically like his entire finishing
He
thing
literally
here.
just made like 55 minutes just wasting everyone's time then. Are you fucking serious with this shit? Fuck off, man.
He's strung you along with the shit on Batman writing at the end here.
Oh my god, here we go. Let's just keep going.
Yeah, formed multiple
to the bitter end.
Peter tries to reason with Harry just as much as fight him. Venom isn't even considered a villain anymore, in part because of the many times Peter has actually tried to help Eddie more than punch him. And at this point in time, Eddie's basically a hero in his own right. This vulnerability is what makes Spidey compelling and never ridiculous, because after all, if Batman can fight Darkseid, then who cares if he can fight Penguin? What's really at stake?
Well, who's to say?
Spider-Man.
Well, I mean, isn't Penguin still like that rich guy that you keep saying Spider-Man keeps fights a lot? Penguin's still doing crimes.
Yeah.
Doesn't Peter have a responsibility to stop crimes as Spider-Man?
Spider-Man's gonna try and reason with the Joker and get him to change his ways and be like,
You know what, you're right. I think I'll become an orphanage runner, Spider-Man.
No, this is this is such simplistic thinking, because I'm thinking of like anime characters and I'm like, okay, Goku makes a lot of friends out of former enemies like he keeps talking about with Spider-Man here. Does that mean that like I'm just gonna shit all over fucking, well, Naruto does talk no jutsu as well. I'm trying to think of one that doesn't make friends with their former enemies. It's like, does that mean that he's a better character than Vegeta, who just wants to fucking kill people?
No, Ichigo from Bleach kind of doesn't. Ichigo just kind of beats all his enemies,
That's
the only
true.
real exceptions being Ishida, Rukia started off antagonistic, but she wasn't a bad guy. And a few of the other Shinigami, that's about it. But yeah, Ichigo, by and large, he just fights all his villains, yeah.
Apparently Kubo originally had the Gote 13. He was planning on having them be villains, but editorial said don't. Yeah,
they're sort of
editorial
antagonistic in the whenever they were rescuing, Rukia.
Rukia.
Yeah, but
that
they
was more
weren't.
circumstantial.
But they weren't villains per se. It's like legit like the bad guy villains. Like Ichigo would just fight them. Yeah.
Yeah, they were antagonists, but being an antagonist doesn't mean you're evil or anything.
Yeah.
Necessarily.
And all I'm saying is, like, for him, like, as far as his argument goes, that's basically like me saying, well, Goku's a better character than Ichigo because he makes friends with his enemies more. It's basically like been his entire argument during this segment. That like, oh, because Batman punches his villains more instead of reasoning with them, that he sucks.
I mean, I would say that makes it, depending on how it's portrayed, it can make them worse. Because in terms of Naruto, like, why would you forgive Obito? Why would you forgive your parents' murderer?
Yeah, you can get unreasonable, and it's all about how you justify it in the story. I just think he's thinking about things, and he keeps saying it too. He's like, that's not personally, it's interesting to me. It's like, okay, you just made a whole video where you were trying to present yourself as like sort of like neutrally observing this, and now it's just become a character breakdown of Batman and Spider-Man and why you like Spider-Man more. Like, I get having preferences, that's fine, but like it's sort of a misrepresentation of the title whenever you just turn it into this.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, and I just remembered Orochimaru is another good example of someone who should not be forgiven, but is. And
yeah, Orochimaru gets to do his Michael Jackson shit even into Boruto.
Yeah.
He's a fucking freak experimenting on everybody, and he just gets away with it at the end because he's got 36 doppelganger backup saves on his personality.
Yeah.
Like, we killed him. Oh wait, no, he had another backup save. Fuck.
Man is always on the back foot. No matter who he fights, no matter who he confronts, he never wins easily. He always wins at great personal risk.
Okay.
And
Wait,
Batman doesn't?
Yeah, Batman doesn't have any superpowers. I feel like he's putting himself more at personal risk.
Oh, but Batman has tons of money, therefore he isn't.
Oh yeah, he's rich. He's rich. Never mind. But like Spider-Man has, like, you know, he has powers out the ass. He's at less personal risk anytime he fights somebody. That's a weird observation.
Whereas Batman, depending on the story, either wins handedly or barely wins at all, and it's never consistent as to what enemies push him to his limits.
Didn't you just say earlier that's all contingent on which writer it is?
Yeah, and now Heath Ledger's looking at Ant like, what? But
he's like, and I thought my jokes were bad. This guy's videos
very
are
poor choice
else.
of words.
Yeah.
But it's yeah, that's a non sequitur of a, like, he just kind of jumped into that point as if it was self-evident based on what he had presented so far. It's like, you just pulled that out of left field, dude. What are you talking about?
Very poor choice of words.
Now, on the other hand, Spider-Man has always been powerful. One of the strongest of Marvel's main heroes. He's stronger than Captain America by a lot.
Way.
He's not
Get
Hulk
outta
level or
here.
Thor level, sure.
No, okay, so right there, you just said he's not on Hulk or Thor's level. That means he isn't. Okay, they are. Spidey isn't. He's not one of the strongest. Get out of here with that. Dude, he pulled he pulled this shit in the Mary Sue video too. He's like, oh, Spider-Man's really fucking strong. It's like, no, he fucking isn't. Oh my god. Spider-Man isn't winning an arm wrestling contest with fucking Odin. Okay?
Aw, come on. You never know.
He isn't. Plain and simple.
He could use his Spidey sense to know. What if he has the black suit on though?
No.
Then he can defeat God or something, right?
Anyway.
But he is very powerful. And people forget that a lot. Yet he never feels overpowered, especially not in his own stories. And that's because he's fighting adversaries who are either more powerful than him,
showed the
or
panel of Spider-Man beating Firelord. My guy.
Firelord Ozai?
No. Anyway, moving on.
have a power set that's hard to just confront with sheer strength. But also, he's rarely the linchpin in events when, say, Thanos or Galactus shows up. There's always someone else who's better equipped to fight those cosmic threats.
That means he isn't.
Though, bizarrely,
as they're stronger,
as we saw with Null when Null, the symbiote god, invaded, some of Spidey's adversaries, like Venom, are that linchpin. Someone like Norman Osborn in the Secret Invasion storyline is the linchpin to solving a
Yeah, because King in Black was Venom's story. Of course Venom is going to be the linchpin. It's his story. That's like that's like saying Superman is the fucking linchpin in like the Killing Joke, for example. No.
Well, and speaking of the Killing Joke, it's like discrediting Barbara because in the Killing Joke she was clearly there to like, you know, suffer that terrible tragedy and then, you know, be the prodding that, you know, that pushes this beyond the normal Batman Joker kind of conflict.
Yeah.
And then it's like if you brought that up later, like, oh, she's not that smart. She got 86 by the Joker there. It's like,
Or saying fucking Alfred is the linchpin in Death in the Family. No.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on.
Yeah.
Cosmic, giant crossover event. But Spider-Man himself, not so much. And that puts Spider-Man more at a disadvantage because his adversaries can have universal ramifications for their actions, whereas Spider-Man himself seldom does. And that makes Spider-Man feel vulnerable despite how greatly powerful he is, because his adversaries can accomplish so much. What can Spider-Man do against that? It's interesting, it's clever writing, and it manages to balance out Spider-Man in the hierarchy of Marvel's characters in a way that Batman, I do not believe, is balanced out. Batman Hush is among the best Batman stories of the 2000s.
Oh my god. This guy really does just hate Batman, doesn't he? Shit.
I don't know why you'd say that. I love Batman whenever he's just being rich and he has to face a psychological challenge and he can only use his detective skills, no gadgets or vehicles, and it's like
just
very
it doesn't resort to fist fights.
Yeah. He has to be in
I really like it when Batman just talks about his feelings with his bad guys. I really like that. Yeah.
It's just so funny. He's got such a narrow view of what Batman should be, and then he just says, "Oh, it sucks if it's not that." Sorry.
Offers the definitive portrayal of Batman and Catwoman's romance, elevates the Riddler to peak villain status, and provides an opportunity for all of Batman's main villains, save for the
peak fire, bro. Peak Riddler. 7 out of 10.
Peak Riddler. Yeah.
Ow.
Joker, who appears briefly to get beaten up and provide a red herring, to shine in one way or another. But it also does something else. It provides the best Batman and Superman fight in comics.
Whoa.
Now, I did mention this before, but Batman doesn't really beat Superman in Hush. He snaps Clark out of Poison Ivy's mind control by having Catwoman drop low.
He punches Clark in the dick and says, "Stop thinking with this." Yeah. Sorry, Bruce. I forgot. It's like, you could just go bang Wonder Woman. Jeez.
Yeah.
Slaying off a building and stunning Clark with a kryptonite punch. Batman fully admits that he's only alive because Clark doesn't want to hurt him, but that Batman does want to hurt Clark in those instances. And even then, it's only a matter of time before Poison Ivy's mind control influences Clark to punch too far. Batman punching Clark once almost breaks every bone in Bruce's hand. It's a fight where Bruce wins because the solution isn't overpowering, but outmaneuvering. Also, Batman always needs a friend to beat Superman, whether it's Green Arrow in Dark Knight Returns or Catwoman in Hush, and it takes years of planning, again.
It wasn't easy to
make. Okay, you can't beat Superman.
Doesn't Batman have a fucking doesn't have a chunk of kryptonite in the Batcave? Like, just go get that.
Alfred, swing by the store and pick up kryptonite on your way home, please. A jug of kryptonite.
Yeah.
But like, he's trying to make this parallel that like, oh, and I'm sure he'll caveat it with like, am I saying that Batman or that Spider-Man is as strong as Superman? Of course not. But you keep making the comparison. It doesn't really matter if you say that at the end.
Yeah.
You're trying to use this to prove your point that he couldn't deal with Spider-Man's villains, even though Superman is like fucking god level, obviously.
Oh yeah.
Hey, Clark. It took years and cost a fortune. Luckily, I had both.
Batman is no god. That's where Batman, I feel, shines the most, when he's given the chance to outmaneuver an adversary enough to beat them on an intellectual level. It's also a game that puts Bruce in extreme danger. Danger that, should things go slightly different, would be fatal. And that's the problem with the Bat God. It removes the angle of vulnerability. Batman with prep time can be a threat to any adversary, but things often, in good stories, go wrong, go unexpected.
Anthony, if you wanted to make a video just dispelling the argument that Batman can beat any fucking character with prep time, just make that video. Don't package. Again, this is literally the video he wanted to make, but he's just packaging it in this video instead. It's like, gotta pad the video out for that runtime.
He's saying Batman should be written well. And that could have been the whole fucking video at this point.
Jeez,
he's just pointing out all the potential flaws with writing Batman. Like,
oh my god.
All right.
Pairing. He might not account for something in particular. And then it comes down to Batman's skill to get out.
Yes. That would be great. Great story. All right.
And that's interesting.
Took quite a fall, didn't we, Master Bruce? And why did we fall, Bruce? So we can learn to pick ourselves up.
Because if they didn't have these elements, Batman would be a very boring character. The reason the Joker is such a threat to Batman, and basically no other major DC superhero...
He wouldn't be a boring character, he'd just be boring to you. That's the difference.
He's constructing the worst possible Batman story in his head, like super boring, like Batman just comes in and says, I have a plan. I made an anti-venom gun, and he shoots Venom and beats him. And he's like, that would be a bad story. I'm just like, yes, Ant, that would be. I don't know why you feel the need to make a 20-minute ovation on Batman.
And as bad as modern Marvel and DC are, I seriously doubt they'd make a story that fucking lame.
That's what it seems like he's arguing against, this weird straw man where he's like, I know everybody thinks that Bat-God is great, but I don't actually. It's like, no, everybody fucking insults the Bat-God thing. Even I hear that, not being a big comics guy. Like, I hear it just in his animated and everything stories. Like, the Bat-God is not liked. I get it. Like, you just made a false premise for the video, and then you're going on this weird tangent at the end about every possible bad trope with writing Batman and how you should not do it. Yes, I agree, but I feel like it's unnecessary for you to say this.
Anyway.
Is that the Joker always plays Batman's game, or at least subverts it in some way.
What's his end
In a
game?
way Batman isn't always anticipating. It's proof that Batman's greatest strength, his brain and his wealth, don't always get him.
What was that? What was that? That sounded like another power than he's rich. But you said his only power was that he's rich like 50 times in this video. He just brushes over. Oh, he's also intelligent, I guess. I mean, maybe a little bit.
Out of situations that are dangerous. And again, the Joker doesn't have any cosmic powers. He doesn't have a massive ultimate nullifier like Mr. Fantastic has. He just has wits and cleverness, and that's able to counter him in a game of clever chess.
I don't want to hurt you. I don't want either of us to end up killing the other.
Chin will defeat
But we're running out of alternatives.
Joker has tried fighting other heroes, and it ends badly for him. Usually he's like swept aside. He goes to Metropolis, and Superman stops him in seconds because he can hear the bombs ticking in the city.
What is that chin?
It's the chin of sin, as I said earlier.
They copied the Spectacular Spider-Man Goblin. Yeah.
It's like a Tom and Jerry cartoon where Tom gets hit in the face with a shovel or something, and he just has a flat face.
Oh man, I've seen this comic before, but for some reason I never like froze it on this panel where it's like, he just looks like a weird ass face, and especially because Superman's is perfectly normal and like realistic looking right next to it. It's just like Joker's weird, even more so than usual.
Use X-ray vision to see Joker's mechanisms and stop them before Joker even declares they're a threat. And because of that, he can even hear Joker's plans as he's walking into the city.
Superman's overpowered as fuck. Of course, Joker can't fight him.
Joker, outside of, again, the Injustice comic line.
Oh god, that movie was awful.
It was bad, yeah.
The way they killed Flash, oh my god, that was...
And then sudden amazo at the end.
But the problem is our perspective of heroes are defined by a few stories. Superman's entire history was reshaped by the Injustice game, a non-canon Elseworld story where Superman...
That was like the 6th time they had done evil Superman. What are you talking about?
No,
Superman Red Sun, Ultraman.
No. Superman's entire history is not overwritten because of one fucking video game. What are you on about?
Yeah, they had already made... Okay, that's like me saying...
Death of Superman, you saw like evil Superman there too. Eradicator.
That's like me...
Cyborg Superman.
That's like saying like, oh, all the Prime Wardens' history is overwritten because of the Extremeverse comics. No.
Oh, yes, I remember that Sentinel Comics run.
Oh my god, it was so bad. It was so bad, they literally had to retcon into being an entire alternate universe. Holy hell. Anyway.
That's just what a casual fan would say, but alright.
Anyway.
Man becomes a fascist because Joker pulls one particular trick. To the point where, for a decade, every mainstream depiction of Superman outside the comics drew from this story. This resulted in a boring, dull cycle that we're thankfully only now breaking away from, starting with stories like My Adventures with Superman, where we see Superman as just a guy,
Oh my god.
I hate how they reinvent certain characters and that they're just very boring. They don't have powers. They just have
technology.
Tech. It's boring.
It's like, we have Silver Banshee. She's like this ghost lady who screams a lot. What should we do? Oh, let's make her fucking discount fucking Shriek from Batman Beyond. Yeah, great idea.
Yeah. Oh man, Parasite's a big mutant. What do we do? Oh, we make him a kaiju.
Who can absorb people's powers. Yeah, let's make him a kaiju. Yeah, let's make him Godzilla.
It seems like, from what I've seen of that show, I've only watched a couple episodes, and then I watched like clips of later in the season. It seems like it's fucking CW, but in anime form.
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Right down to having Jimmy be black right there. Yeah.
I mean, I would honestly say Superman and Lois, the latest Superman show on the CW is better than this.
Oh yeah, because that got moved off of it once like CW got canned or whatever, and people liked it. I think that was like their last show or something.
It was
really,
the
right?
last in the Arrowverse, yeah.
Yeah, and that was off of probably one of the worst shows in the Arrowverse, which was Supergirl, which I suffered through a whole fucking first season of because that was back when I was trying to keep up with the Arrowverse.
I could not finish the first season of that show.
I had to disagree with you with that being the worst Arrowverse show because Batwoman exists.
Oh, I meant to say one of the worst if I said that. Because I didn't actually watch past season 1, so I actually wouldn't even know what the quality is. But yes, Batwoman. Well, I don't know. Batwoman's kind of the best as well, though, as far as entertainment value goes.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Just because it's so fun to make. I've watched the EFAPs on Batwoman about 6 times by now, just because it's so ridiculous.
Tharias Unlimited has like the best review of Batwoman, no cap.
Jay Longbone though, like she's great at breaking down the episodes.
Yeah.
Whenever they did the fucking bats coming in and being crazy, and the police just start shooting into the air with their shotguns at them. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Or the vampire episode.
Oh, God.
And the repetitive Alice scenes of just, I'm crazy. Oh, you better try to save me. Maybe I'll be good. Oh no, I'm evil again.
And then like that fucking episode in season 3 where like this guy's going around freezing people in this hotel hosting a Teen Vogue press junket. They barge into the room and Sophie's younger sister is there frozen like, it's so fucking stupid.
You know, it's been long enough since I've seen that now, or any coverage of it, that I feel like we could do a Backseat Boys just fucking watch along.
Maybe in like as like a 10-year anniversary of that show, maybe, I don't know.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Charming,
anyway.
Lovely.
Oh, sorry, Aunt. We were talking about more fun things than you.
People are getting hurt, Lois.
His voice actor just does not fit for me either.
I have to try.
Tim Daly, he is not.
He's trying to be like Deku or something from like My Hero Academia. Like I feel like that's what they were trying to shoehorn Superman into, and that's just kind of not his character. Like Deku is the underdog, like Spider-Man that he's been talking about, but then they try to like maneuver Superman into being that in that show, where it's like, oh, he's always getting beat up and he's, you know, not just a normal kind of guy with emotional problems. It's like,
I'm telling
he
you,
does.
it's telling you still to this day, the best Superman voice is Tim Daly, no cap. Anyway.
Beaten, he'd be a dull character. By emphasizing Batman's physical and emotional vulnerability, you make
surprised Ant doesn't hate Hush. Look at the boobs on those
When
women.
I told you that
Male
Gotham
gaze.
no longer needed Batman, we could be together. I meant it. But now I'm sure the day won't come when you no longer need Batman.
Look at it this way. What separates Two-Face and other Batman villains? The trauma. That's it. Not power, not strength. The emotional angle, again, is always more compelling than the brute strength a villain provides. The same is true for Spider-Man, but Peter's vulnerability seems an integral part of both himself and his villains. Like, seriously, look at the villains that Spidey faces on film. The vast majority of them were sympathetic to one degree or another. Some, like the Vulture, are so sympathetic that people kind of root for them. There's a reason why most of No Way Home isn't...
What's that?
I said, okay, well, they shouldn't. It's like, yeah, okay, cool, they have sympathetic qualities that make you kind of understand where they're coming from. That doesn't mean you side with them, you psychopath. This is literally, this is the same shit he pulled with Magneto. Like, it's hard not to sympathize with Magneto as he tries to kill all of humanity.
Don't forget that people fucking sympathize with Killmonger. They were like, oh, he speaks a lot of truths about those colonizers. Maybe we should kill all of them.
He said he wanted to kill the children, too.
Yeah, not just the men.
But the women, but the children, too. I hate that.
Like, I remember that after, like, that was, I'm not gonna say scary, but it just, like, made me realize how fucking crazy some people are, where they were just like, oh, he didn't even say anything wrong. I'm just like, anything? Really? Like, I get that Orange Man bad, but jeez. I didn't know you were willing to go that far.
Yeah, anyway.
Spent fighting villains, but Peter trying to rescue and help his adversaries. And in almost every single case, by the film's end, he succeeds at great personal cost.
What about Batman with
I think
Mr.
any discussion of
Freeze and
superhero
Harley Quinn, or you know, like one of those guys? Hell,
Or
hasn't he?
Two-Face.
Yeah,
you just
Two-Face.
brought up.
Yeah, Two-Face, of course. Or like, it's like, hasn't he helped Croc on a few occasions? Like, Croc, I have something right here that can cure your crocodile appearance. Or like, didn't he have this similar thing with Clayface for a bit? Like, hey, I can turn you back into Bat Hagen here.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
I'm
and
just laughing
Humpty
at
Dumpty.
Humpty Dumpty.
Oh,
yeah.
The problem is that when you reform villains, they stop becoming relevant.
Yeah.
So that's the real reason why
They've always got a relapse.
they stick around.
Well, that's a separate issue.
I just love Backseater's story. That's like the ultimate bad guy. He's like, hey, Croc, I got something here that'll make it not look like a crocodile anymore.
Yeah.
It's an anti-croc spray. Apply this 3 times a day and you'll be fine in 3 weeks. Okay.
heroes that ends with them punching out the bad guy is short-sighted. It renders every single villain a bland shell of what they could be. As much as I enjoyed the Marvels, for example, it's undeniable.
What did he just say? It was just I enjoyed the Marvel. Nobody's ever said that. So you have to justify that.
What's there to enjoy with it?
Oh my god.
It's like he just thinks it's like self-evident that that's a great movie or something. He just casually dropped that he enjoyed one of the most hated movies of the fucking MCU that bombed.
This is proof that no one should ever take Ant seriously as a critic.
That's like me just casually dropping, like, I don't know, as much as I love Waterworld as an action, like...
I mean, to be fair, Waterworld is a way better movie than the Marvels.
That's true. Our bar's been set, like, so differently that, like, what was considered a flop disaster back in the day, nowadays, I'm like, I don't know, it's better than most of the slop coming out.
League of Extraordinary Gentlemen is one of my favorite movies. I watch that, like, every year on my birthday. No cap. Anyway.
Undeniable that its biggest flaw was needing there to be a bad guy to punch. And what's frustrating is how good the villain almost could have been. She's a Kree, a victim of the main protagonist. The villain.
There are way bigger problems in that film, pal. No cap.
I don't care if that villain had the best writing of all time. That actress was one of the most comically, no pun intended, bad actresses I've ever seen. I remember this, like, she was competing with Ronda Rousey in Fat and Furious 7 as like the worst line delivery ever.
Or Ronda Rousey in Mortal Kombat 11, yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, if we're counting, voice
He was
acting, we might be
really-
able to get into a whole new realm of bad acting. Yeah.
She was really pushed by everyone, and now nobody talks about her.
It was like so noticeably bad, where it's like you just threw a high schooler into a major Hollywood production or something, and just like someone who had never acted before, and you're just like, hey, go out there and read these lines, and they're just like,
John, did you know that Dar-Ben is from the books and not just some character they made up for that? John, you want to know Dar-Ben's entire comic book history?
Oh
Get
god,
on
is it like
this.
one panel?
Dar-Ben was a male Kree, so gender bend, was a male Kree general who used a robot of the Silver Surfer to execute clumsy foul-up and General Dwi Zan during the Infinity Gauntlet storyline. He was killed by Deathbird during the Kree-Shi'ar War. That's literally his entire backstory. Yeah,
Well,
great.
hey, they're gonna make.
Yeah,
Don't forget female Silver Surfer that's about to get her own movie based off like 3 panels or whatever she had.
Yeah. Oh my god. Holy hell. Oh yeah. So great fucking pick for a fucking main villain. Yeah.
You know, they used to be self-aware whenever they would do, like, Negasonic Teenage Warhead was in like one panel, but she was in like a Deadpool movie, so it was kind of a joke, like, oh, we're doing this deep pool like character that nobody gives a shit about. We're gonna make her like the sidekick. Like, now they do it seriously though, where they're like, where's a chick? Where's a chick in a minority? There's one in a panel somewhere in 1964. Let's make them the main antagonist of this story.
Right. Oh my god. Anyway.
Yeah.
Villain only exists because Carol Danvers destroyed the Supreme Intelligence. Her life was ruined when Carol came. To her, Carol...
That was such an awkward pause.
Ruined when Carol came.
Carol's like, ah! Dar-Ben's like, I hate you. Carol's like, bro, I had a space dildo. I don't know what you want.
Bro,
I didn't bother anybody.
Bro, you don't understand. John, you don't understand. The whole movie is like one grand allegory for PMS.
Oh, God.
Oh, my God. Fucking Christ.
Oh, my man, Carol.
Carol is the villain. And while this is discussed, all interactions with this villain start and end with, stop the bad guy to save the worlds. We don't see Carol and her engage in an intellectual discussion. We don't see them discuss their
No, 'cause the movie was shit.
We don't see the pain between them. We just see a bad guy who has to get punched.
Yes. Because if we don't, then shit is going to get fucked, and...
They don't even beat her by punching. She like blows herself up, I thought, at the end of that, from what I remember.
Yay.
She gets the thing that she wanted all movie and then instantly dies, kind of like Megatron in the first Transformers movie.
Yeah.
And all this potential is gone. All the
What
interpersonal
potential?
conflict between the heroes. But the emotional...
You just said she was nothing, and then you're like, but all this potential based on all these things that they could have done that I just made up in my head that made it a completely different character. Like, yes, if they wrote an entirely different story, she could have had depth. That's true. The problem is you can say that any character has potential based on that premise.
Between the villains and the heroes, it's related when the heroes and villains are in separate areas. Carol, Kamala, and Monica just talk to themselves about the bad guy. Or the villain is off to herself monologuing. Or we never see them actually engage intellectually. Not until the very end where she decides to rip a hole in reality. So her passing is the closest we ever get to any real discussion or engagement with how these characters
Why are you rewriting the Marvels in the middle of your
compare that
Batman
to
versus
any of the
Spider-Man
Spider-Man
villains video?
So even that one conversation in the Batman
has to hype it
where
up
Riddler and
because it
Batman
makes
are
the
talking
chuds
together,
mad.
or in The Dark Knight where Batman and the Joker are talking to each other. A scene like Peter Parker slowly realizing that the Green Goblin personally has overtaken Norman right before he bashes Spider-Man through 14 floors and just, blows up Aunt May. That one moment of stillness communicates so much more about who these characters are without a single punch needing to be thrown. Though the punches that follow are very entertaining.
You already used that scene.
All of that is
Stop
lost
playing
if
these
we just
clips
stopped at the
over
question.
He's just like, by the way, here's a clip from a popular thing so that you'll like my thing. Like, you almost got me with the Spider-Man PS1 clips, Ant, I'll confess, but then you slacked off with that in the second half of the video, so I'm leaving a dislike.
Yes, folks, if you're watching this video, leave a dislike, please. On this video, not my video, obviously, but if you do leave a dislike on my video, I don't give a shit.
It still increases engagement.
Still increased engagement. Yeah, anyway.
If he was a true fan, then he would have pulled from the more obscure Spider-Man 2 Enter Electro on the PlayStation 1.
Yeah.
Everybody knows the first PS1 Spider-Man game, but that one, there was no fog. You could actually walk around on the streets.
Yeah.
Could Batman beat up the Green Goblin? And that's the whole story. It's not that interesting anymore, is it?
Well, it is.
If there isn't that intellectual.
You set that question up. You only have yourself to blame, and
he loves to boil Batman down to punching and then make Spider-Man into something deeper. Like, he's always like, even these crossover stories aren't interesting. I mean, it's all about whether Batman can punch somebody.
Why can't Batman have that philosophical fucking exchange with Green Goblin?
He acts like all Batman stories are just him walking in and punching the villain. Like, there's nothing else to them. He just wants to shit on Batman to prop up the Marvels.
Play.
And why do you want to kill me?
Oh, he's gonna show him punching Joker, and then that'll prove his point.
You? What would I do without you?
This is another key element to Batman's success, his mind games, because he's a detective first. He always starts the story a few steps behind the antagonist. The fun isn't watching Batman win. The fun is watching Batman catch up, figure out what's going on. The very idea that Batman is 4 steps behind is interesting. The idea that Batman is already 5 steps ahead is boring.
Yes,
because
Batgod sucks, we get it.
Watching the blocks fall into place. This is why the Batman is so interesting, but the Dark Knight Rises fails.
Hang on. Well, couldn't you just... again, it all just depends on fucking, like, presentation and how it's executed. It's like, I don't know about you guys, but I think it would be pretty interesting to see, like, a multi-part extended storyline where Batman has to fight this whole new villain, does his research on him, and then they come to blows, and then Batman puts his plan to action, and you're realizing, oh, so that's how he did it. That could be pretty interesting. I mean, hell,
yeah,
like, I mean, John, not to spoil Ace Attorney for you, because I know you're gonna play that someday, but that's a big part of how you catch the villains. You uncover how they did it, and that's part of the fucking fun of those games. Is figuring out how
you just yelled objection the whole time.
No, I mean, yeah, but you yell it to.
No, I'm
figure that
joking.
shit out.
Being Ant and boiling it down to the, only the punching for Batman. It's like, well, Ace Attorney is not interesting whenever you just yell objection for the entire case and just instantly win.
Yeah.
It's like, nobody thought that was good. Why are you making this point?
I think Ant just really hates just DC in general here. Anyway.
In the Batman, we see Bruce struggle to catch up with the Riddler. And in fact, he gets a few key things wrong. He's too slow to stop the Riddler from blowing up Wayne Manor. He's too slow to stop the Riddler from blowing up the flood walls around Gotham. And that forces Batman to act in ways that's interesting. Whereas in The Dark Knight Rises, Batman's body is broken from previous fights, so he just fixes it with new tech we never see he had.
I do agree with him here. I don't like Dark Knight Rises.
Okay. Batman's thrown in prison and has to, on the other side of the planet and has to get out. Oh, he does. Oh, okay. Well, then he has to get to Gotham. A city that's been closed off.
Dark Knight Rises was a religious experience for Endymion.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he said that on Open Bar one day. Anyway, moving on.
I just remember the difference between the car chases from Dark Knight to Dark Knight Rises, where it's like Dark Knight, it's one of the best like set pieces and car chases ever. It's pretty like small scale in comparison, where it's like 4 police cars, the Joker's little convoy, he flips the truck at the end. It's so much like awesomeness and blockbuster gravitas and IMAX and everything. And then Dark Knight Rises, it felt like Nolan was like, I need to one-up that. So I'm going to have 500 police cars filling up the entire street, all behind Batman. And we're just going to have lots and lots of cars.
Yeah.
And it was like so, I just was watching on screen. I'm like, what the fuck am I watching? It's like everything was just like over the top and boring as a result.
Yeah.
It's like you did more with 3 cars than you could do with 500 in this movie.
Yeah. Anyway.
It's the world. Oh, he's there. Oh, he's just there now. He just showed up, and then he has to stop Bane and his army. Oh, he just charges at them and punches them along.
Yeah.
See how that sounds so much more boring than the Riddler? And the Riddler isn't a physically stronger threat than Bane. In fact, Riddler's plans are much less complex. There's no nuclear weapons. It's just a couple explosives and a few assassinations, and that's it. And it's more compelling.
You, if the
and
Riddler
more of a
got his
threat.
hands on a nuke, he'd use it in his schemes. I guarantee you.
Especially because he throws his little temper tantrum. That was whenever the movie started. That was whenever the movie fell off. The Batman. Whenever, right, everything after that Riddler talks to Batman scene, it's like then it just kind of devolves and it gets into like the fucking cuck culture or whatever. Internet.
To Batman than Bane is, despite Bane's strength, resources, etc.
You mean you didn't figure it out?
He acts like Bane is the norm Batman villain. Like, he's always punching his villains and has to outpunch Bane, but sometimes they do something intellectual. I'm like, Bane is like the exception, not the rule.
Yeah, I should know. Like, I'm a fucking Bane fanboy. I've worn his face on my shirt. A lot of fucking I've worn his face on my shirt, my Bane shirt, right? But yeah, it's like, no, Bane is the exception, not the rule. And as I always say, exceptions prove the rule. Anyway.
Yeah. Like that's his whole, that was even in The Dark Knight Rises, for as much as it gets wrong. They're like, oh, Batman finally has a physical threat that he's facing head on.
I'll break your spirit and your body. Anyway.
Oh, you're really not as smart as I thought you were.
The difference between the Batman's Batman and the Dark Knight Rises Batman is that
brother
one
over
is
there.
a bat god. He just do whatever he wants because he's Batman. While the other is a very talented detective who starts the game on the back foot and has to push forward and succeeds despite the odds and setbacks. And one is a great film, while the other is a disappointing finale to an otherwise great trilogy. Spider-Man's accomplishments,
It's just
despite
random
his vast
reviews for
powers
shit
and
at this point. He's like, I'm gonna go ahead and review Injustice. I'm gonna go ahead and review the Marvels, and then I'm gonna go ahead and go into a little tangent about the Dark Knight Rises and why that's bad.
Yeah.
Okay, you could have made all these just separate videos, like 5 minutes each, probably.
I'm telling you, Ant's videos are the video equivalent to a turducken dish. Anyway.
Get the John Madden turducken clip for that one.
Are always remarkable because the appeal of Spider-Man is watching someone who's always downtrodden succeed. But to make Spider-Man look weak, his enemies have to be incredible. So the sliding escalation of power...
I feel like the spider sense should not be needed. At this point, you probably heard Juggernaut coming up behind you, you idiot.
Yeah.
He's like, what could that be? And then I like how he used 2 Juggernaut panels here, or comics here.
Yeah. Dude, that one on the right looks kind of fucking hilarious.
It's like, I'm gonna eat you, Spider-Man.
looks. Oh my god, what does that fucking look like? I'm trying to think. Oh my god, it looks like that once, like, is that like a Space Marine drawing? I can't remember. Like, I don't know. It's either a Space Marine or the fucking Anti-Monitor. I don't know. Like,
nice.
I don't know. I'll have to Google it. Keep playing it, John.
Increases, resulting in an array of powerful adversaries. It makes the story fun to watch because, on one hand, the hero is struggling emotionally.
Jesus, we get it. You like it when heroes struggle. Like, why have you been on this for 20 minutes?
Physically and even economically.
If you were good enough, maybe Tony would still be alive.
Guys, underdogs and heroes struggling is a good
is to show that the
storytelling
Bat
thing.
God is the worst iteration of Batman, and Batman himself needs to be in a constant chess match with his enemies rather than start by default fully capable.
Holy shit! He just keeps making the same fucking point.
That is complete hyperbole right there.
Like, he's been railing on the whole like Batman shouldn't be Batgod thing for like the whole latter half of this video. He just keeps saying like, it's good when heroes are the underdog and are behind. It's bad when heroes are.
Go ahead, Kino.
This is a 55-minute video, pretty much, and
this video.
he didn't need to take this much time.
This is one giant Batman hit piece, I think. This whole video is one giant Batman hit piece.
Well, he's praising Hush. He says like, oh, you know, Batman sucks, Batman sucks, Batman sucks, but they do it well in Hush. And he acts like Hush is like the fucking only Batman story that's good or something. He's just like, my God, he keeps wording it like not even very differently, where he's just like, heroes should struggle, and Batman knowing everything makes it anticlimactic. I'm like, I know, you've said that 6 times in a row now. Like,
get on with it. Yes, get on with it. Get on with it.
Like he could at least explore like other like writers, how they failed at writing Batman, how other writers succeed in writing Batman, but he's not doing that. He's just rambling.
Yeah, man.
And why do we fall, Bruce? So we can learn.
I already used that clip.
Batman is an incredible character, yet the way his fans talk about him on the internet, he sounds so boring.
I've carefully studied every Justice League or Pat.
Who cares what some random Twitter users? They're probably memeing Ant. They're probably not seriously asking for a movie where Batman just knows everything. Like, you need to discern the difference here between like people making arguments and people like seriously asking for something. I'll make a meme about Batman always planning ahead and like beating Goku or something, but I'm not gonna want that in a movie or like think that's serious in any way.
No. Fucking hell, man.
Past and present, and created contingency plans to neutralize you, should that ever become necessary.
Oh, I really like the Batman.
Not as smart as I thought you were.
Batman isn't an invincible god, he's a detective, he's a strategist, he's cunning, but he's not invincible. The worst Batman stories make him an unassailable figure.
He's
Spider-Man
literally
stories are the
repeating
ones that
himself,
neglect.
but using different verbiage every time.
He's even the same panels at this point. He's recycling images.
Oh my God, Ant, why the fuck do you not have a fucking editor? Like, I know that you edit your videos, but you should not be your own editor.
Like, I feel like this is a response to a video that wasn't made. Like, somebody made some 40-minute video on why the Bat God is a great storytelling trope, and Ant felt the need to counter that. But the problem is nobody fucking made that video, so he's just rambling against nobody. Well, we're almost there, boys. We're about 30 seconds away.
We're almost done.
Peter's humanity in favor of something absurd like clones or making deals with the devil. Let's use this knowledge to tell better stories, to focus on the characters in ways that elevate their strengths and weaknesses, rather than completely circle drain.
You should not be giving advice on how to tell better stories. Like, let's just not. Just don't. Please. Stay in your lane.
If he wanted to make it longer, he could have easily gone more in depth as to like why he doesn't like Snyder versus why he likes the Batman or something. But instead he just kept bringing it back to like the same 3 comic panels. He would briefly bring those things up, and then he would just immediately revert to, you know, Batman shouldn't know everything, by the way. Oh my God.
All right, come on, come on.
Yep. Yeah, we'll finish up and then I'll review the chapters.
Boring.
Amber Heard.
Ideas.
Amber Heard sighting. Amber Turd.
Also, Venom is great. Let me know if you want me to do a video essay on Venom, because genuinely I will.
Venom is great.
I mean, yes, Venom is great, but I don't want you to do a video essay on it.
Holy fuck.
Our perspectives of heroes defined by a few stories. Okay, because I'm looking at these chapters because it's like he was legit talking about the same shit from like here on, I feel like. Okay, yeah, Batman is not unstoppable. Batman versus... Okay, so that was like when the video actually ended. That was when he stopped analyzing him versus the Spider-Man villains. Was at like the 28.5-minute mark.
Oh my God.
And the rest of it was just
It's
railing on Batman. What's the point of this conversation? That is a great title. Exactly. What's the point of this conversation? What's the point of this fucking video? Is more like it.
We still have some time left. Do we want to look at the comments section?
Oh no.
Oh
But
yes. We haven't looked at the comments section of it on the video in a while.
Dislike? Anyways.
Imagine Spidey going up against Bane, but most of the fight is Spidey coming to terms with the idea that Venom in this context is a drug that has nothing to do with the symbiotes. Okay, that'd be kind of funny. The more interesting situation of swapping their villains is keeping the core of the characters. Say we give Batman enough tech to keep up with Spider-Man's foes. How much would Peter's sacrifice save the broken people of Gotham? How would his sense of responsibility work in such a broken city? Okay, well, a sense of responsibility is different than a sense of charity, okay?
Yeah,
And
this guy's
and at the same
going
time,
on a bit.
and at the same time, Kraven, Goblin, Carnage, they would make Batman struggle mentally far more than Joker ever could. Okay, that's Cap right there. Imagine Kraven trying more and more to force the legendary Bat to kill him, unable to bring himself to kill such a perfect hunt, but desperate to die at his hands. What? Norman would be playing chess with Bruce every fight, every failure of the Goblin, just a way to give Norman more information on how to exploit the Bat, as Bruce has to add with these background plans with his own. Kingpin and Octavius would both be using every other criminal to find a weakness and exploit. Kingpin in particular using overwhelming numbers, as Bruce needs to either stop each crime and risk falling into the trap, or go for the force and risk facing someone who is as strong as Bane and knows every legal excuse imaginable to turn any action the Bat takes against him. Batman would have to deal with so many mind games in order to keep his principles without these foes exploiting them. While Spider-Man would have to work harder than ever to live up to his new responsibility of such a broken city, the swap would risk breaking both of them mentally, yet they may both have the better tools to help these new foes than they did against their own, and these two ideas make the swap truly interesting. No. No.
That was like the human help of comments right there.
Oh my god,
Holy
yes
cow.
it was.
He was getting into the fucking psych. Hang on, actually, I want to check something interesting. We can get back to the top-rated ones. Sometimes they're extra trashy when you check the newest ones.
Yeah.
They start just shitting on the videos. So I want to see. Joker would find out Spider-Man's no cool rule is much more flexible than Bat's. I think Batman would get bodied pretty quick.
No, he wouldn't.
See, these are the people that like gave this the attention it deserves, which is to not go into a 40-minute diatribe.
Yeah.
That would be.
Oh, here's a good one. You have a high level of Spider-Man knowledge, but I can see a clear bias between Marvel and DC. I don't think you're exaggerating Spider-Man or any of his villains to the slightest. I think he is. Okay, this will be the last comment. Holy moly. Okay, this will be the last comment I read. Spider-Man as a standard should be a 15-ton class as stated. I know they will exaggerate this, and he has some 70-ton feats. He can get up to insanely high speeds swinging, but running on foot, I scale him at around 150 miles per hour. Why this is important is because this is my definition of Spider-Man. If you think he's stronger or faster, I simply disagree. We can start going into a conversation where I name all the inconsistent stuff Batman does from bad writing. What I think is dishonest is saying Batman is a regular human and so are most of his villains. Bruce Wayne runs 30 miles per hour, beats all Olympic records. Bench presses 1,000 pounds and leg presses 2,500 as a 220-pound person, and you can see him integrate various different exoskeleton suits. The first one consistently makes him about 3 times as strong, and his better one that he should have prior to Justice League events makes him 10 times as strong. React to lasers and runs somewhere between 50 to 120 miles per hour regularly. So Batman in his suit can actually leg press somewhere in the neighborhood of 25,000 pounds regularly and bench press 5 tons. Bane as a standard in base can bench press 1,500 pounds before steroids, but with steroids he is jumping like 50 feet high, bulletproof, and showing to have between 10 and 30 ton feats. Bane on steroids, I don't think Bane is bulletproof. He doesn't wear any armor, no. Bane on steroids consistently should be comparable to or stronger than Spider-Man. One version of Bane that I've seen seems to be more 50 to 100 ton class. Batman had something very comparable to an Iron Man suit and still mostly was losing. This version of Bane was basically unbeatable without stopping the steroids first. So in context, Batman is usually walking around in an exoskeleton that has roughly Batman Beyond-like feats. But the thing with Batman is most of his villains are still stronger than him and come pretty close to Spider-Man's level. Clayface, Man-Bat, and Killer Croc, for example, are all still stronger than him and come pretty close to are all theoretically a-okay match for Spider-Man. Killer Croc can throw cars at people. It is not that stupid. Man-Bat is pretty close to as strong as Spider-Man, can fly, and has razor-sharp claws. I don't think they would beat Spider-Man, but they would be interesting and still threatening. The people like Joker, Scarecrow, or Bane could figure out who Spider-Man is. The easiest way to beat Spider-Man would be to gas him in his sleep. If gas just started pouring in his house and his spider sense would go off and he would not even know why before passing out. Somebody like Mr. Freeze, I think, could be a serious threat. One of Batman's best weapons is freeze bombs.
His best buddy?
This would be highly effective against most of Spider-Man's villains. He has powerful EMP and electric shock weapons. And I think that, I think would completely nullify people like Dr. Octopus. His knockout gas is invisible, only takes one breath, and I think people like Joker have more plot armor than Batman to survive these weapons as much as they do. But Deathstroke, if you're using Teen Titans feats, is definitely stronger than John. Scroll down.
All right.
Is definitely stronger than Spider-Man, and he is comparable even if you downplay him. I don't think that is somebody Batman should be fighting, because Deathstroke should rip Batman in half without an exoskeleton. Okay, no, I don't think so, no. I think Deathstroke would be a threat to wiping out the Avengers. I mean, if Deathstroke is Taskmaster, then yeah, because Taskmaster is an Avengers villain. I mean, realistically, he has super intelligence, and he's pretty comparable to Spider-Man level strength. That's what brings me to what I think the worst downplay of this whole entire video is the way you compare intelligence. You are never in a million years going to convince me that Dr. Octopus, with his scientific level intelligence, or Peter Parker, is comparable to Bruce Wayne or Deathstroke as a tactician in combat. You're basically saying that a nerd is going to outmaneuver the best trained special forces. Not only that, with Batman's intelligence feats, you can easily measure his IQ over 300. It is not even possible to do what Batman has accomplished just with his mind alone in a lifetime. He literally would be required to have superhuman intelligence. Then you're going to tell me this scientist is above them or comparable to Deathstroke, who actually has intelligence as a power. The guy who trained Batman actually taught Sun Tzu, who wrote The Art of War. I think he means Ra's al Ghul there. Just that fact alone makes all strategic intelligence arguments out the window, even after thousands of years. That is still considered the Bible for warfare. I don't think Batman being in Spider-Man's universe fighting his villains would be a problem. He would just be a little bit more nasty with his regular equipment. You would start seeing him with stuff like his metal mech suit he has stored under the Batmobile sometimes as a more standard first approach, expecting more superpowers than average people. He would be a little more timid and relying on weapons more rather than face-checking superhumans with his fists. Instead, he would go on, you got me, Lizard Man, then he would spray gas in his face and watch him pass out. After seeing he was out of his league, he would come back in his metal mech suit. It would just look a lot like Iron Man versus Spider-Man villains. I feel like that's a fair assessment.
Yeah, he brings up an interesting point that Ant never got into, which is like how they adjust their strategy.
Yeah.
Whenever they, because like what he's saying, it's kind of like whenever people are like, oh well, this guy didn't shoot 3-point shots in the 80s, so he wouldn't be able to play in today's game in the NBA. And I'm always like, well, he probably would just shoot more 3-pointers once that became the game. Like, people adjust to where they are and what time they're in and stuff, if they're good at something. And Batman is like, yeah, he would obviously be like, yeah, these guys have powers, I'm not just gonna try to fist fight them. I'm gonna fucking...
Yeah, so let's go closing arguments. Let's see here. So, John, closing argument.
Video should have been 20 minutes maximum, and should have probably stuck to the subject at hand.
Yeah. Kino?
Yeah, I don't even think it should have been 20 minutes. It could have been 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Or even 5 minutes. All you had to do is communicate, hey, what are the odds of like Spider-Man or Batman being each other's rogues galleries and briefly lay out the reasons why, like the best case scenarios for who defeats them and why all the others wouldn't fare well against them. And that's it. You didn't have to go into this Bat God like rant where you just ramble.
Yeah.
And honestly, that need to be its own video, because if I clicked on this like looking for a full breakdown of how Spider-Man or Batman would defeat each other's villains, I would feel like I would feel tricked, because it's kind of false advertising.
Yeah.
I would have shut it off after the first however many minutes, and I discovered it wasn't that at all.
So yeah, this video was 50% an interesting question that Ant totally botched by saying it doesn't matter because their stories are different.
Stan Lee's been one of the writers.
Yeah, the other 50% was a Batman hit piece, and 100% of the video was just more of Ant's nonsense that left me so tired because it's past my bedtime. So I'm gonna peace out right here. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, comment below if you love it, subscribe if you want videos like this, and I'll see you guys next time in the backseat. Take care!